School Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. Y'all know I'm your humble host. The Yao Mina Revolution, and Jay-Z is crushed in court. Oh my goodness. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Roll up that good dinner, man. It's getting twisted as we speak. Salute, family. It don't look too good for Jay-Z. Let's get into this information this morning. Revolution is a way of life. Revolution is for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I got some revolutionary breakfast for y'all this morning. The boule is going down.
The woman who says she was raped by Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs when she was just 13 can now proceed in her lawsuit without publicly disclosing her name, at least for the time being. A judge in New York now says the woman can remain anonymous because to substantial interest from the public, and that's the reason here. However, she may need to reveal her identity at a later date to allow defense lawyers to prepare for trial. Meanwhile, Combs, currently in jail awaiting a trial on federal sex trafficking charges, denies the claims. Jay-Z says the accuser is trying to blackmail him.
That ain't what the judge said. Oh, salute to everybody in the building. Jay-Z said this case should be thrown out immediately. Ain't that what Jigga said? The judge didn't feel that way. And I'm hearing that he went off. Let's get into that. I'm hearing that he was very upset with stalking, harassing, threatening, all the gangster tactics that Jay-Z and his small hat lawyer had been doing. I'm hearing the judge really didn't like that, And he let Jay-Z know, man, you here to stay. Sit down somewhere, man. Don't you ever in your life tell me throw nothing out. You know how much money I'm getting made? You know how much I'm finna eat off of this, nigga. Sit down.
Independence of self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how?
All right, man. Y'all press one if y'all can hear me in the comments section. We can get right to it, man.
Birthday love.
Press one if y'all can hear me, man. I got a mic check real quick, man. Can y'all hear me? Let me know y'all can hear me in the comments, man. We're gonna get right to the phone, man.
Jay-Z is
we'll get right to the phone. Y'all can hear me? Hey, Trey Lance. Hey, dog, go ahead and send that $1,000 to my Cash App, bro. You go ahead and pay up, dog. Go ahead and send that $1,000 to my Cash App. Didn't I tell you this stuff wasn't gonna get thrown out, dog? See, y'all keep playing with me, man. Y'all keep playing these games with me, bro. I'm not to be played with, man. I'm surgical with this thing. You understand what I'm saying? And I told you, go ahead, send that $1,000 to my Cash App, dog. You understand? Because I told you I was coming to collect. You didn't want to listen? You better listen now because, sir, it just got real ugly just now. As I told you, bro, a lot of these people not reading the files, bro. They're not reading the cases, bro. Just send me. All I want you to do is just send my $1,000 to my Cash App. I'm gonna screenshot it and show it to everybody once you send me my bread. Because I told you, bro. Stop playing with me. When we talk about this stuff, bro, don't come talking to me unless you read the paperwork.
I told y'all last time in their life, Jay innocent. You innocent, bro. You innocent. If the man coming after you, they wrong. Deal with him. If the white racist is after you, Jigga, deal with him. But I told you, when Jay-Z was pulling bully tactics, intimidation tactics, trying to dig up dirt on Tony Busby, trying to pay Tony Busby's ex-clients to say things about, boy, that don't look like nobody who innocent. And the judge don't feel that way neither. No, people ain't stupid. An innocent man, just let his lawyer do what he gonna do. An innocent man never gonna say, hey, I don't know, I never knew the man. When you say you never knew P. Diddy, they said, wait a minute, you just told a lie you didn't have to tell.
Work, man. These dudes don't be reading the fine print. They go to the store, they buy all kind of electronics and don't never read the fine print. They sign contracts, they don't read the fine print. They do all these things, they don't read the fine print. Sucker, I read the fine print, man. So stay away from me, man. Don't bother, G, bro. Just make sure you have my bread. You was talking all that trash. You was all up in the inbox talking that trash. Just send my bread. I'm going to screenshot it. I'm going to show everybody you sent me the $1,000 and you lost, dog. This is what happens when you run your mouth, dog, and you don't know what you're talking about. You guys who don't know what's going on, man, like, share, subscribe. You haven't subscribed. This is where you want to be, man. The judge just went crazy on Jay-Z and his lawyer. Blasted them straight up for their response to this lawsuit from this woman. Now, I'm going to let y'all know what's going on because I got the paperwork, man. And I tried to tell y'all, man,
Now,
I ain't never sleeping on no dude.
Jay-Z and his lawyer said this is frivolous. You throw this is nothing here. They trying to blackmail. They trying to extort me. I'm innocent. You know, remember all the tough guys, all that tough guys stuff. Lawyers, the judge say, what the hell are you talking about? I got information that the public don't know yet. Who you trying to fool?
Dude like Tony Busby, bro. I'm not, man. Great state of Texas. They do everything bigger out in Texas. What you think? Lady judge on the case, like I told y'all the other day. What is y'all talking about, man? Stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me. Now let me read the paperwork, because a lot of you people don't read the fine print. They just come on here running their mouth to me, acting like I'm just talking, man. Sit down and shut up, man, and listen to a real G when I'm talking, bro. So like I said before, man, the judge wrote, Annalisa Torres. Didn't I tell y'all that this is a female judge? You ain't gonna be talking any kind of way, right? I told y'all this. So stop playing. Let's get to it. Plaintiff Jane Doe filed this action on October the 20th, 2024, alleging violation of New York City Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act, NYC Administration Code 10-1101 at sequence C generally ECF number 1 by order dated November 6, 2024. The court provisionally granted the plaintiff's motion to proceed anonymously. Let me repeat that again, because Jay-Z's been fighting to get this person identity revealed. And what I've been telling y'all this. What have I been telling y'all, right? So let me say this again, right? By order dated November the 6th, 2024, the court provisionally granted the plaintiff's motion to proceed. So the court ruled in favor of Tony Busby and them. But y'all sitting over here, yeah, man, hey, man, they too strong, man. They too strong. Tony Busby a joke, man. Sit down and shut the hell up, man. Just F all them fairy tales. Huh? So let's get right back to it. It says, explaining that the defendants had yet to appear in this matter and that the balance of interest weighing for or against anonymity may shift as her suit continues, ECF number 28. Let's keep going. On December the 8th, 2024, plaintiff amended her complaint to add Sean Carter, known professionally as Jay-Z, as a defendant. See generally AM COMPLECF number 29. The plaintiff again sought to leave to proceed anonymously. But this time, Sean Carter's counsel appeared and moved to deny her motion, or in the alternative, to dismiss her amended complaint pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 12B1, ECF number 363740. Carter also moved for an expedited hearing on the issue, ECF number 41. The next day, Carter's attorney filed a letter containing a declaration from an associate at his law firm recounting a phone conversation she had with an unnamed woman who claimed that the plaintiff counsel encouraged her to lie about her experience of sexual assault, ECF number 4242-1. Carter's lawyer asked the court to consider this additional information in connection with the plaintiff's motion to proceed anonymously. Plaintiff's counsel denied Carter's allegations against him, ECF number 44, and I'm going to go on, and y'all don't even have to read the rest, because I'm going to go on and read the rest, because it's only 5 pages, and I'm going to cook 3 the hard way, and I want my $1,000 in the Cash App, brother. Trey Lance, I want my $1,000 in the Cash App, expeditiously, dog. I'm talking about expeditiously, bro. Expeditiously, bro. You come in here talking to me, bro. You listen to a bunch of jockstrap snippers online that don't read the fine print, man. I read the fine print, sucker. On December the 13th, 2024, Carter's attorney filed an additional letter alerting the court to recently published interview of plaintiff on NBC News, ECF number 46461. See also ECF number 52. In the interview, plaintiff, speaking anonymously, explained her allegations against the defendants and her reasons for coming forward now. See generally ECF number 461. Carter's lawyer points to the interview in which plaintiff admitted to inconsistencies in her story as evidence that the plaintiff's claims have no factual basis whatsoever. Didn't I tell y'all that? And all these people ran on YouTube and reported it wrong. Oh, she admitted she lied about her story. No, she didn't. She said she had inconsistencies, but she stuck with her story. But the judge, they don't operate in the court of public opinion. They operate in the court of facts. Let's keep going, right? ECF number 46 and 2. He also argues that the plaintiff's counsel violated federal rule of civil procedure 11B by failing to undertake a reasonable inquiry into facts before filing the complaint and failing to seek admission pro hac vice to this court. ID Carter's attorney requested an expedited briefing schedule for a motion to strike the First Amendment complaint under federal rules of civil procedure 11C2 and 12F ID at 3. The next day, Carter's counsel submitted yet another filing in a motion for an emergency order directing the preservation of evidence and striking the amended complaint under Rule 12F ECF number 47 through 49. Number 1, motion to proceed anonymously. In deciding whether a plaintiff may proceed anonymously, the court balanced the plaintiff's interest in anonymity against both the public interest in disclosure of any prejudice to the defendant, sealed plaintiff versus sealed defendant, 53-7 F3D 185-189 2D CIR 2008. The Second Circuit has laid out a non-exhaustive list of factors that must be considered. Number 1, whether the litigation involves matters that are highly sensitive of a personal nature. Number 2, whether identification poses a risk of retaliatory, physical, or mental harm. Hey, turn that shit down, baby. I'm on live right now. Turn that down for me, please. Thank you, baby. Love you. It says number 2, whether identification poses a risk of retaliatory, physical, or mental harm to the party seeking to proceed anonymously, or even more critically, to innocent non-parties. Number 3, whether identification presents other harms and the likely severity of those harms, including whether the injury litigated against would be incurred as a result of the disclosure of the plaintiff's identity. Go on. Number 4, whether the plaintiff is particularly vulnerable to the possible harms of disclosure, particularly in light of her age. Number 5, whether the suit is challenging the actions of the government or that of private parties. And number 6, whether the defendant is prejudiced by allowing the plaintiff to press her claims anonymously, whether the nature of that prejudice, if any, differs at any particular stage of the litigation, and whether any prejudice can be mitigated by the district court. Number 7, whether the plaintiff's identity has thus far been kept confidential. And number 8, whether the public's interest in litigation is furthered by requiring the plaintiff to disclose her identity, right? Number 1 at the bottom, it says plaintiff's lawyer has since responded, arguing that a Rule 11 motion would not be appropriate here. See generally ECF number 50. Number 9, whether because of purely legal nature of the issues presented or otherwise, there is an atypically weak public interest in knowing the litigants' identities. And number 10, whether there are any alternative mechanisms for protecting the confidentiality of the plaintiff. ID at 190 cleaned up, citations omitted. The court, quote unquote, is not required to list each of the factors or use any particular formulation as long as it is clear that the court balanced the interest at stake in reaching its conclusion. ID at 191 and 4. Here, the weight of the factors tip in the favor of allowing the plaintiff to remain anonymous, at least for this stage of litigation. Factors 1, 2, 4, and 7 weigh strongly in the favor of anonymity. It goes on. In her amended complaint, the plaintiff alleges that the defendants spiked and sexually assaulted her when she was only years. Am complaint 49 through 60, courts in this district have recognized that allegations concerning sexual assault are quote unquote highly sensitive and of extremely personal nature. See Doe versus Skyline Autos Inc., F. Sup, Doe 3 versus Indict, Doe versus Towns. List goes on and on and on, and it's sweeter than Ben and Jerry's. Let's keep going. Plaintiff is particularly vulnerable to the possible harms of disclosure, right? Now it says, according to her amended complaint, she continues to experience depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and a seizure disorder associated with stress of her sexual assault, right? Now it goes on, right? It goes on, right? It says denying disclosure in part because of the risk it posed to the plaintiff's already fragile mental health. Now let me stop right there and tell y'all something. Didn't I tell these buck dancers on YouTube that Tony Busby knew what the hell he was doing? And all of them came at me, hey man, Tony Busby's an idiot. He put that girl up.
Well, I told y'all, that man took on BP. Who the fuck is Jay-Z compared to British Petroleum, bro? What can Jay-Z do that British Petroleum wasn't able to do? But people just be talking their ass off if they don't know what they're talking about.
No, he didn't. Tony Busby knew what the hell he was doing, you damn fool. Tony Busby put her on TV so everybody would know that she's special needs. And because Tony Busby knew that, checkmate.
Like I said.
Sucker. Now, can you dig that? Sucker. All y'all clowns coming here running y'all mouth to me, man. I'm a real G at this shit, man. Read the fine print, nigga. All kind of shit, nigga. What's wrong with these people on YouTube, man? Stump a mud hole every last one of you chumps. Y'all can't stand on no level with me, man. Talking this talk. Well, I read the paperwork, man. I read it before I sign the contract. Believe that. You understand what I'm saying? And if the paperwork don't look right, I ain't signing. Point blank, period. You understand? Moreover, the plaintiff's counsel asserts that many of his other clients who have filed similar lawsuits against Combs claims to have been threatened by Mr. Combs for their decision to speak out. And finally, although plaintiff set for an interview with NBC News concerning her case, NBC allowed her to conduct the interview anonymously. Granted, several factors weigh against allowing the plaintiff to proceed anonymously. Plaintiff is challenging the actions of private parties, not the government. And given the media attention surrounding this case, the public has a substantial interest in this litigation, separate and apart from its general interest in an accused being able to publicly confront an accuser, right? Alternative mechanisms may exist to protect confidentiality, namely the redaction of and sealing of documents. Most importantly, plaintiff's continued anonymity may cause prejudice to the defendants, making it more difficult for them to collect the facts necessary to mount a defense, and as appropriate challenge to plaintiff's credibility. Combs at whatever, identifying the most significant form of prejudice to defendants as the discovery disadvantage that the plaintiff's anonymity would present. The court does not take such prejudice lightly. Nevertheless, at this exceedingly early stage in the case, the factors counseling against disclosure outweigh those that counsel in favor. Right? So all y'all that said Tony Busby was a buffoon, and it keeps going, because it ain't even got juicy yet. It's about to get real ugly. Because I'm about to finish reading this. Didn't I tell you, bums, that Tony Busby knew exactly what he was doing when he put that girl on TV? Everybody only knew she was a Jane Doe. Everybody only knew how old she was. Nobody knew she was special needs, because you would not know that from her being a Jane Doe. That's why he put her on the interview on NBC. That's what I've been telling y'all the whole time. Because he wanted you to know that she was special needs. He didn't care about all that other stuff, because he knows that falls up under the law. He ain't worried about that. Y'all act like Tony Busby won $10 billion of litigation and he a damn fool running around here. I told y'all this, man. I watched this dude in cases on YouTube. Go watch his cases. This man ain't playing no courtroom. Ain't sitting there talking about, oh, you got shake down. Man, no, you finna get shook down. This is what happens when you underestimate your opponent. When you come on the court thinking you just gonna win. No, you get your ass bust, ran up the court and beat by 30, nigga. Now let's keep going. Accordingly, plaintiff's motion to proceed anonymously in all caps is granted. Plaintiff is advised, because the balance of these factors will certainly shift as the case proceeds, especially if and when the parties engage in discovery in earnest, the court intends to revisit this decision at a future date. So for right now, Tony Busby wins, and we keep going because I ain't finished yet. He wins right now. And guess what? The case is not getting dismissed like I told that bum. Put that $1,000 in my account because I told your ass this case was not getting dismissed. Didn't I tell you that? So let's keep going. Number 11, remaining motions. Now, this is where it gets ugly. Since Carter's attorney first appeared in this case 17 days ago, he has submitted a litany of letters and motions attempting to impugn the character of the plaintiff's lawyer, Tony Busby. Right? You capping ass, I swear to God, bro, I cooked every last one of you three the hard way. You can't stand in no room with me, man. That's why we standing on top over here right now. Because the people like standing with the truth. The truth gonna always set you free, and it's damn well gonna keep you free. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a fact. And the people gonna ride with that. And all that other cap, say that shit for the road jack and never come back no more, no more, no more, no more. It says that the plaintiff's, Jay-Z's lawyer has submitted a litany of letters and motions attempting to impugn the character of Tony Busby.
Frivolous.
Many of them expounding on the purported urgency of this case, right? Describing Tony Busby as self-promoting and accusing him of extortion. Didn't I tell y'all? Now let's go back to that right quick. Let me stop right there. Didn't I tell you, bums? Read the law in New York City. New York City. Read the law in New York City. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Tony Busby did what is called normal legal procedure. In fact, in many cases in New York, ladies and gentlemen, let me ring y'all bells. Let me rock the bells in here. In many cases in New York, it is required for a lawyer to send a demand letter before filing a lawsuit. Why? Because it saves time and money. Let me repeat myself again for those in the back who don't hear what I'm saying, because y'all gonna dig this, sucker. All you have to do is go to Google, and the information is right there. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Again, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody in the back that's not listening, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Let me say it one more time for everybody. Throw your hands in the air and wave like you just don't care. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Now, after this video is over with, all I want y'all to do is go right to Google. And when you go to Google, type in, is a demand letter common before filing a civil lawsuit, and see what you see. Then after you do that, go to Google and type in New York, do they require you to send a demand letter before filing a lawsuit? And see what you get. See what you get. Now all these fools went around, Tony Busby trying to shake him down. These niggas don't know nothing about the law. That's why half these niggas in jail right now. That's why half of them going to jail. They don't know the law. They don't know the law. All you gotta do is look this stuff up. It's right there. In front of your face. I can't believe this. This is unbelievable, bro. Guys, I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm trying to tell y'all. You know what I'm saying? Your mama can't say you this time your ass is history. Who else you know flows vicious as me? Huh?
That's why they call me Chick. Man, let me finish, man. Right? Let's keep going. Right? It says, right? They described Tony Busby as self-promoting and accused him of extortion, requesting to be heard on an expedited basis, accusing Tony Busby of exploiting the legal process to generate media attention, asserting that the plaintiff's counsel, Tony Busby, they're talking about, seeks only to benefit himself, requesting the shortening of a deadline from 21 days to 1, describing Tony Busby as willing to blatantly violate the core ethical obligations of all attorneys and requesting a hearing on a motion the following day. Sean Carter's lawyers' relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language. And all y'all talking about, hey man, that's just cool by Jay-Z. See Jay-Z standing up, man. See what he said, man? Man, taking that jack fool street talk and flushing that shit down the toilet. You in a court of law. You can't come in here talking like you on the street. You sit up here and you talk like you in a goddamn court of law. Think they gonna sit up here and take that? Ain't gonna be no white flags and no peace talk. Straight up. You come in here, you pick your head up, you talk like you got some common sense. You ain't gonna talk like you on the block. I told y'all this. That's why y'all be seeing all them dudes going to court.
The judge
After
told
they done
him
shot the whole neighborhood up. Now all of a sudden it's yes ma'am, no ma'am. They know the drill. They know the drill. But y'all don't want to listen. Y'all don't want to listen, man. I try to tell y'all this, man. That jibber jabber shit ain't gonna work in no court of law, bro. You can't be going down on people like people. They not gonna. I'm trying to tell you, there's a whole different lane right there. I try to tell y'all this, y'all didn't want to listen. Let's keep going. It says Carter's lawyers' relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit Jay-Z. Let me repeat that. This is from the judge, nigga. This from the judge. This from the judge. Let me read that one more time to y'all. The judge just wrote this right now. Jay-Z's lawyer.
And the judge told him this will not benefit your client. Let me know what you done did will be used against your client.
Relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, right? A waste of judicial resources and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client Jay-Z. The court will not fast track the judicial process merely because Jay-Z lawyer demands it. Moreover, Jay-Z's lawyer assails that the plaintiff's lawyer, Tony Busby, as having a chronic inability to follow the rules. Carter's counsel has failed to abide by this court's clear rules. The judge says that Jay-Z's lawyer broke the rules. He's talking about Tony Busby. He said Jay-Z's lawyer broke the rules. That's what she said right here. Under the court's individual practices in civil cases and with limited exceptions, a pre-motion letter is required prior to filing any motion. Although Carter's attorney stated that he intended to file immediately a motion to strike the first amended complaint under Rule 12F, right? He did not give the plaintiff the requisite 5 business days to respond. See individual practices. Wait for the court to set a motion schedule or state whether any exception to the court's individual practices apply. This is unacceptable. Counsel is hereby advised that any further motions filed in violation of the court's individual practices may be denied on that ground alone. Lastly, although Jay-Z's lawyer is entitled to file a Rule 11 motion without first seeking leave of court, the court discourages this approach. If he still intends to serve the plaintiff with a motion for sanctions, the court denies his request to shorten the safe harbor provision contained within Rule 11C2 from 21 days to 1. Number 2, on the merit, Carter's motion to strike is denied. Motion to strike under Rule 12F are generally disfavored and will be granted.
This dude said it was a frivolous fucking lawsuit, man. What? I mean, why is it not getting thrown out of court? It's a frivolous lawsuit. They're trying to extort him. Surely the judge can see that. Nope. Nice.
Only if there is a strong reason to do so. Abdu versus Walker. Carter's notion, which summarily asserts that the plaintiff's claims are baseless and salacious, does not clear that high bar. Carter's motion to strike the amended complaint under Rule 12F is denied by January 10th, 2025. The plaintiff shall file her response to Jay-Z's motion for an order directing the preservation of evidence. By January the 17th, 2025, Sean Carter shall file his reply, if any. The clerk of court is respectfully directed to terminate the motions at ECF number 32, 37, 40, 41, and 46. So ordered. United States District Judge Annalisa Torres. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, yo, dog, I want my $1,000, man. Hey, brother, just send my money in my cash app, bro. Go ahead, send my. I want. Pay me what you owe me. Nigga, all cash money. The link is pinned at the top, bro. You already know. Don't duck the smoke. I've seen some other people over here send me donations. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the money you owe me. Trey Lance, you owe me $1,000, bro. You told me they was throwing this case out immediately. You bet me $1,000. You have been harassed and hit me up all this time, bro. And I told you, let's get the smoke. So when you send that bread, I'll put the screenshot on the screen. But I doubt you will, because you just like the rest of these chumps running around here on YouTube. You talk, but you ain't gonna walk that shit, bro. Now, I did not tell y'all this when all these dudes running around here talking about, hey, man, Tony Bozeman, man, you don't even know the law. You ain't even look up the law. It's easy to look up the law. All you got to do is go to Google and look this stuff up. All you got to do is go to Google. Bro, in most civil cases, it is legally required. Let me read this to y'all again, right? Let me read this to y'all again, right? Let me tell y'all this again. In most legal cases, it is required by the law that your lawyer send a demand letter before a lawsuit. Why is that? That is because they recommend you having what they call mediation to be able to come to a resolution to see if you can come to a settlement, which will be financial, instead of wasting the court's time and the court's money. Once again, ticket wins and these bums lose. Stop playing with me when I talk legal talk, because you don't know nothing about me and you don't know nothing about that, and that's all I got to say about that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, man, who the man? Ticket, you the man. I said, who the man?
Diddy Combs can remain anonymous. The woman says both men raped her at a party when she was 13 years old. Jay-Z's legal team had fought to get the case dismissed, arguing his accuser should have to reveal her name, but the judge disagreed. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the latest.
A legal victory for the woman who is suing Jay-Z for allegedly raping her when she was 13. A federal judge ruling the woman can proceed with the case while remaining anonymous, at least for now. But the judge also chastising the lawyers representing Jay-Z, accusing them of trying to fast-track the judicial process by repeatedly filing motions to reveal the identity of the Jane Doe to have the case dismissed. The judge writing in a 5-page brief that the Carters' lawyers' relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because the counsel demands it. This latest legal twist coming after the recently filed civil lawsuit by Jane Doe, claiming that Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and P. Diddy drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party after the MTV Music Awards in 2000, while an unnamed celebrity watched. Jay-Z has vehemently denied all the allegations, putting out this statement 2 weeks ago, writing in part, "This is a blackmail attempt." The multi-platinum artist, who was 30 at the time, now a business mogul with decades of hits to his name, with songs like Run This Town.
We are, yeah, I said it, we are. This is Rock Nation, pledge your allegiance.
His attorneys have denied everything about Jane Doe's account and pointed to some alleged inconsistencies in her story.
It's not just that this story is a lie and that it's not true. It's provably, demonstrably false. This never happened.
The judge writing that while Jane Doe can remain anonymous for now, she may be required to reveal her identity at a later date to allow Jay-Z's lawyers to collect facts necessary to prepare for trial.
Oftentimes, when someone is accused of a crime like this, the accuser doesn't want to be named. And if they are forced to be named, we have seen certain people decide to drop the lawsuit altogether.
Morgan Norwood, thank you. And Tony Busby, the lawyer representing Jay-Z and Diddy's accusers, says in a statement to ABC News, quote, "I will say that the coordinated and desperate efforts to attack me as counsel for alleged victims are falling flat. We won't be bullied or intimidated." And we did reach out to Jay-Z and his team, but did not get a response.
They ain't got nothing else to say. They've been doing all that talking.
Unbelievable, heartbreaking lawsuit where he is alleged of taking turns, basically doing a crime on a little person that claims to be, at the time, 13 years old when this thing went down. Of course, we already know, just a quick timeline. As soon as his name was exposed to be there alongside Diddy and another female celebrity B that was in the room, okay? As soon as his name got dropped alongside Diddy, he came out with a very heated response statement, basically saying, you know, Busby is trash. He's a snake in the grass. He is a glorified ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. Said, I will make this man's life a living hell, and I will expose you for the snake that you really are, Busby. And of course, we've seen a tidal wave. Well, not really a tidal wave, but there's been quite a bit of lawsuits going out after Busby. We, of course, have learned other things about Busby making accusations about Rock Nation, paying off private investigators to basically destroy his name, and also pay former clients to sue the Busby law firm, which he says, and it is illegal to do so. But I digress. So, a little bit ago, soon as this whole thing went down, and Jay-Z's name is exposed, he puts out his statement, there's a war, absolute ridiculous, insane war going on between Tony Busby and Jay-Z. They just been going back and forth like little kids. Like, no, it's your fault. You know what I mean? It's been pretty insane. All right. This is like schoolyard beef. All right. Just being played out on the world stage. As that's going on and starting to get kind of crazy, NBC ends up having this interview with this woman who claims to be and is this actual Jane Doe that filed this lawsuit, saying that she was 13 years old. She went down to the VMAs in 2000. She says that she tried to get in to the party, into the actual event, the VMAs. She ended up talking to a chauffeur, a limo driver. This limo driver said, hey, you know, I know somebody, I know Diddy would love you, you know, so why don't you come back and I'll drive you there to drive you to the after party when everything goes down. What does she do? She does exactly what he told her to do. So she ends up meeting back up with him, gets into the ride, drives out to this to an unknown area, goes into this White House, and then she gets viciously attacked. Well, we already know pretty much the rest of the story. But in this interview, she says a bunch of different things that have a lot of holes in it, a lot of inconsistencies. In fact, one of them that is a huge inconsistency and a huge red flag for me, at least. And, you know, I leave your own judgment and your own thoughts to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I leave that what you think is a red flag or something that just took you out of her case a little bit. I know all of ours are varying, okay? But for me, it was definitely when her own dad said, yeah, I don't remember that. And I feel like I would remember something like that because it's a big deal. Now, we already know the details, saying that she was living 5 hours away. She took a ride from a friend, all that stuff. But then after the crime happened, she runs to a gas station, a nearby gas station, calls her dad, basically saying, yeah, I snuck out. He gets into a car, drives 5 hours down, picks her up, turns around and drives 5 hours back. Apparently there was no words being said, no exchange of conversation, no words exchanged, nothing on the way back home, according to this specific Jane Doe. But Papa don't remember this at all. And of course, there's a lot of other holes that are sticking out, or a lot of inconsistencies that are sticking out, like Good Charlotte, her having a conversation with one of the members, one of the twins of the face of Good Charlotte, basically saying, yeah, I was talking to him about his tattoo. And then, of course, Good Charlotte said, no, we weren't in the area in 2000. We were on tour in the Midwest, so there's no way we would have been at that white party, and so on, right? She admits later on that there are inconsistencies to this whole case, or to her story, right? She does this on NBC, and of course, this blew up. What happens next? Jay-Z makes a statement basically saying, see what she said? All the things she done said, see the inconsistencies, I didn't do it. Throw this doggone case out, because this is some BS. This is some bullshit, right? I'm an innocent man. Don't you see? You can't ride a case on this, right? Type of thing. His lawyer, Alex Spiro, puts out motions to dismiss this case. In fact, not only was he sitting there going, yo, there's not enough information here. There's too many holes in this doggone thing. You need to dismiss this. He also was sitting there going, hey, you need to expose this woman's name. This Jane Doe, her name needs to.
I seen somewhere, I should have looked into it more, that it may be nothing, but the mental illness that she got, I think that it doesn't allow her, or she not known for, or something like that, telling outrageous, extravagant lies. That may be what Tony Busby and the judge know, that Jay-Z and them just not paying attention to. The mental illness that she got, I don't know. I think I seen that she isn't known for, or her sickness that she got isn't, you're not allowed to tell outrageous, extravagant lies like they're saying she's telling.
It's to be public. There is no reason for her to hide behind this Jane Doe pseudonym. This is ridiculous, right? We hadn't heard anything about that from the judge as far as his decision. We're going to get to that in a second. But then Alex Spiro goes off and does a PowerPoint presentation with a big jumbo screen, breaking all the way down everything, basically saying there's no way Jay-Z was there. There's no way this girl could have been at that party, because the math and the timeline ain't timelining. The math ain't mathing, and the timeline ain't timelining. And he basically said to the court of public opinion, the defense rests, right? And of course, we all looked at that and we all took it and was like, wow, well, he's got some strong points here. But what's very interesting about this whole thing is, let's not forget, it has nothing to do with us, the court of public opinion. We are not the jury. We are definitely not the judge.
Judge didn't feel
we most definitely not the judge. And guess what? Here come the judge. Right now, we have finally got a decision from the judge. And the judge is leaning, or basically said, that Tony Busby's client can remain anonymous. Remain anonymous for now. I want to make that abundantly clear. It's a big deal. It's a big deal that that she can remain anonymous for now. But then this judge also goes and says, now, Alex Spyro, Jay-Z's team, y'all need to step 15 steps back. Chill the F out, because how you're doing things right now is unsavory and it's wrong, which is crazy. Because, of course, they were asking to have judgments and certain motions implemented super fast. They wanted to basically expedite things in a speedy way, because they believe that this whole thing is absolute bull, absolute lies. But it looks like this judge begs to differ. Like I said before, this is going to be a huge decision. Like what I said a couple days ago, I said this was going to be a big deal. Why is it going to be a big deal? Because if the judge sits there and goes, yeah, go ahead. Come on, Jane Doe. What's your name? Come on, sweetheart. Come on, get up to the mic. Say your name. We're going to get it public now. If the judge did that, then I can see the judge going, okay, yeah. The information's a little wonky. Something's off to a certain extent. But that's not the situation here. In fact, sitting there going, no, Jane Doe, you go sit down. We're going to protect you. Nah, we ain't saying nothing. We ain't giving her name. We're not doing that. Why? Because I believe that this judge believes that there's enough there that leaves room to start asking questions. Now, I'm not sitting here to hold on. Time out. Hold up. Nah. Before everyone starts, turning what I'm saying into a blog or something like that. Hold up. Okay? Because let me make myself abundantly clear. I am not the judge. I am not the lawyers in this situation. I'm just going off of what I feel in my bones, what could be possibly happening here. What I believe is this. The judge had some time to think. This judge took their time. This judge didn't sit there and go the next day, oh, that NBC, oh, you didn't have to do that. That NBC interview's terrible. Oh, Lordy. Well, sorry, sweetheart. Yeah. All those motions that they're asking for, yeah. You know what? In fact, we don't even need to know your name. I'm just going to dismiss this because there's too many inconsistencies in your story. The judge could have done that. The judge still has not done that yet. Has not. The judge is also saying, oh, yeah, we're going to keep you anonymous too, Jane Doe, for now. Not in perpetuity, just for now, which means the judge still hasn't made a full decision, in my personal opinion, has not fully made a decision yet on if this is going to be something that's really going to be seen in the inside of a courtroom. I think that this judge is going, well, there's some inconsistencies for sure. And then you also got to remember she's autistic. With all due respect, she's on the spectrum. And she also has some severe head trauma. She suffered some severe head trauma at some point in her life. Those things you got to put in consideration. 2000, Could be another year. What she remembers may not be 100%. So we need to sit back and we should get as much information out first before I make a final decision. Now, again, like I said, that's just what I feel in my bones is what's going on, because I trust and believe this whole thing would have been dismissed a little bit ago. As soon as this thing went down, as soon as that NBC interview went down, and Alex Spiro was like pulling out red yarn and doing this whole thing like aliens, ancient aliens, man. Don't you see it, man? His whole display, he did all of that. He's going, the math ain't mathing, the timeline ain't timelining. And the judge still sits here and says, we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving, but we're gonna protect her for now. We're gonna see where this goes. That to me says something. It's pretty interesting, right? Pretty damn interesting. So, again, let me share what Megan Kniff just said on, hold on the X, because I think this is pretty big too. George Torres, the judge in this whole thing, weighed in on Jay-Z versus Tony Busby, or the Jane Doe, and it's a win for Busby. She's allowing plaintiff to proceed anonymously, at least for now. And she called out Alex Spiro's tantics because his tantics are ridiculous. Let's be real. He's like, this is ridiculous. We need to expedite this because you know for a fact that my client is innocent. So can we expedite this? It's supposed to be a 21-day process, but no. We need this a decision right now. We need motions passed. We need things going. So, he didn't do it, right? So, let's go. Hop to it. Speed up, judge. That's not how you do it, though. Do you want to piss off the person that's making huge decisions? That it's very arrogant, in my personal opinion. And that could be very detrimental for Jay-Z. It could. It could be very detrimental for Jay-Z. Okay? Very detrimental. You don't go to somebody like, you know what I mean? You just don't do that. You just don't. That's not how you roll. That's not how it should be done. And now the judge is so turned off in a way. She is turning around and going, wait a second. You see this BS that you're doing right now? No, this is not. This is not cool. Hell no. In fact, here's one of the quotes. The court will not fast track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. I'm sorry. Woo! That is no bueno, especially when you got them going, wait, quit shoving me forward. I will make I'll make the decision when I got time. It's kind of like that. Kind of like that. So, very interesting information here. We're going to look into this this whole thing. It's only 5 pages, so it's not much. But still, nonetheless, this tells me that the judge still feels like there's something going on. There's something up with her case, with this Jane Doe's case. That's intriguing enough, at least, or that there's information enough to at least let it sit for a little bit. It's not like she looked at NBC's interview and said, okay, no, we got to dismiss this. This is terrible. No, not at all. So something's up. Either, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what they have. Maybe they have some other information that that wasn't for public, for public knowledge or something like that. I don't know what it is, but there's something that's holding this particular judge back to sit there and say, no, we're gonna keep it moving. I want to see how this plays out, and quit pushing me. Quit pushing me. She gonna stay anonymous. Quit pushing me, and we're gonna keep moving. And we'll make more decisions as time progresses. Wild stuff, guys. This says a lot to me. This says a lot. So sure, she has inconsistencies in her interview and in her story, but they're not, according to this judge so far. It looks like according to this judge, they're not smoking gun. It's not enough, which is interesting. Okay.
Yes. So the term freak off is officially a household phrase that everyone seems to know, but have you heard of the Wild King Nights? Now, if you haven't heard about it, let your girl explain it to you. Now, the Wild King Nights is where Sean Combs and other female guests or other, quote, guests would participate in nights of sex, drugs, and alcohol. Now, one of Diddy's ex-personal assistants had to make sure that these Wild King Nights were filled with red lights, ice buckets, alcohol, marijuana, honey packs for male libido, Astro Glide, towels, baby oil, Plan Bs. Is suing Diddy for a hostile work environment, as trafficking, as harassment, and a multitude of other charges. So we're going to get into this case, but I also want to update you on the 13-year-old Jane Doe who is suing both Sean P. Diddy Combs and Jay-Z. The judge is siding with Jane Doe's attorney and stating that Jane Doe does not need to reveal her name, although Jay-Z and his attorney want her to. Now, speaking of Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, he is being raked across the coals by Judge Annalisa Torres, who states that his relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks are useless. She warns him that his conduct is very inappropriate and a waste of judicial resources, and his tactics are unlikely to benefit his client, Jay-Z. We are going to get into both stories and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this story and so much more. Now let's get back into it. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've all heard of the Jane Doe who was 13 in the year 2000, who is currently suing not only P. Diddy, but your boy Jay-Z as well. Now, she is suing for violence under a law in New York City that is meant to protect victims of gender-motivated violence. Now, Jane Doe first filed her suit on October 20th, 2024, and she asked the court to keep her identity anonymous, so she was able to go under Jane Doe. Now, on November 6, 2024, the court temporarily approved her request to remain anonymous, but they stated that they would reconsider the decision as the case progressed. Now, in her initial suit, the only celebrity listed was Sean P. Diddy Combs. There was a male assailant who allegedly helped Sean P. Diddy Combs. That was a male celebrity. And there was a female celebrity, Celebrity B, who happened to watch. As we're all contemplating the possible identities of Celebrity A and Celebrity B, we find out that Celebrity A, who's now a John Doe, is suing Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, for extortion. So Tony Busby was like, look, this lawsuit is obviously a last-ditch effort in trying to stop me from revealing the names in this public lawsuit, and it's not going to work. All I did was send you a demand letter, which is typically done anytime you're getting ready to sue someone. I didn't ask for any money. We simply asked for mediation. But since you want to play the sue game, now I'm going to reveal exactly who you are, Mr. John Doe. And that he did. On December 8, 2024, Jane Doe amended her original complaint, this time including Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z. That same day, Jay-Z took to his Roc Nation Instagram account stating that Mr. Busby was a deplorable human being and that Jay-Z was nothing like the other celebrities, and he could not wait to show Mr. Busby exactly how different he was. On December 13, 2024, Jane Doe spoke anonymously with NBC News, where she stated she had autism and parts of her story did not really match her original complaint. However, she stated that she was aware that there were inconsistencies with her story. Jay-Z's attorney Spiro argued that the interview showed her claims had no factual basis and suggested that her lawyer, Busby, had not properly investigated the case before filing it. The lawyer also requested the court to dismiss her amended complaint and impose sanctions on her lawyer. Jay-Z's team has conducted an investigation stating that Tony Busby has not only stolen from his clients, but he's also given a client an STI. The judge is tired of the back and forth, and she's sticking it to Jay-Z's attorney Spiro, because she wants it all to stop. The court addressed Spiro's behavior, stating that his repeated filing and harsh criticism of Jane Doe's lawyer, Tony Busby, were inappropriate. Carter's lawyer, Spiro, had violated the court's rules by filing motions without seeking first permission and trying to rush the legal process, and the court made it clear that such tactics were not acceptable. Lastly, the court rejected Carter's request to strike Jane Doe's amended complaint, which is an attempt to get rid of the case because he believes it's without merit. The court emphasizes that the motions to strike are rarely granted and that Carter had not provided enough reason for such a drastic action. Court also further temporarily approved the anonymity of Jane Doe due to the public's interest in the case. Again, this is something Jay-Z and his attorney were fighting against. However, they lost. So it seems like attorney Spiro is willing to get in the mud with Tony Busby, but the judge is not here for it. She wants them to stick to the facts of the case, not trying to dig up dirt on the attorney that's handling the case. So I can say that it's going to be very interesting to see how this case plays out. Many felt that this was going to be an open and shut case, but unfortunately for Jay-Z, it's not. And not only does he have one case against him, Busby has another one that he hasn't even filed yet. Now on to the new case regarding Jay-Z's ex-assistant. General allegations. Plaintiff is an African-American male who worked in the entertainment industry before meeting and working for the defendants. Plaintiff started working for defendants formally on or about December 19, 2019. Prior to the formal start date, plaintiff was working on a probationary basis, and after completing probation, plaintiff began working on a non-probational basis starting on December 19, 2019. Plaintiff's formal duties were to provide services to Combs, which include but not limited to getting his food, ensuring that food was available to Mr. Combs, picking up his clothing, laying out Mr. Combs' clothing, running errands for Mr. Combs, and generally being available for Mr. Combs at his beck and call. Although plaintiff was provided a title of senior executive assistant, plaintiff was misclassified as an exempt employee. Although plaintiff was provided different titles like executive assistant or senior executive assistant, plaintiff was Mr. Combs' personal lackey and had to do his personal errands, including but not limited to meals after hours, clean up hotel rooms occupied by Mr. Combs after nights of sexual escapades with different partners or drug binging, hide Mr. Combs' personal activities from certain family members, provide and get Mr. Combs' marijuana, or locate illicit drugs upon Mr. Combs' request, or carry and transport items that belong to Mr. Combs, and book hotel rooms under plaintiff's names without plaintiff's authorization. Plaintiff's supervisors were Sean Combs and Christina Coram. Due to the constant unreasonable demands and expectations, forced test of loyalty, sexual harassment, plaintiff was constructively terminated on or about December 29, 2021. There is no doubt there are certain glamour and perks working for a megastar like Sean Combs, but no one can foresee the unreasonable and improper demands and expectations coupled with the test of loyalty that no one should have to endure. During plaintiff's employment, plaintiff was instructed by Mr. Combs on multiple occasions to ensure his personal bedroom and or various hotel rooms were set up with red lights, ice buckets, alcohol, marijuana joints, honey pack for male libido, baby oil, Astroglide, towels, illegal drugs, and power banger sex machines. I didn't know what that was until I Googled it, and unfortunately, I'm sorry for myself for seeing that. These nights were called Wild King Nights. Wild King nights are where Sean Combs and female guests or other guests participate in a night of sex, drugs, and alcohol. Plaintiff and others are ordered to set up the rooms, and then plaintiff is responsible to clean up the room to avoid knowing that the Wild King nights occurred. The Wild King nights would happen at times without notice, and other times are planned. Plaintiff is expected to be on call for the Wild King nights, which could last for the night or for days. On several occasions, plaintiff would receive a request to bring extra baby oil, Astroglide, marijuana, sex toys, Plan B, Cialis, or illegal drugs to the room. Plaintiff was prohibited to leave the items in the hallway and would wait until he was let in, unwillingly exposing himself to the events in the room and told to leave the items and would then leave. At the conclusion of the Wild King nights, plaintiff was responsible to clean the room or hotel room and was instructed to remove any evidence that the Wild King nights happened. Plaintiff would remove any evidence of drugs, condoms, sex toys, remove bodily stains like blood, urine, fluid from the sheets, furniture, and pack away all the items used during the Wild King nights. Plaintiff was further responsible to ensure that no one would talk about the Wild King nights. As an example, if the Wild King nights happened in a hotel, plaintiff would clean up the hotel room and then leave the hotel cleaning crew a very large tip to avoid house cleaning from reporting anything that would be later billed. In addition to the above, plaintiff was further instructed to scrub Sean Combs' personal devices, including but not limited to personal phones, laptops, or tablets of any compromising videos. In order to accomplish this unreasonable task, plaintiff would have to again unwillingly see the video and then erase it. Plaintiff was instructed that if any of Sean Combs' family sees the video, either on the personal device or cloud-based storage, plaintiff would be terminated with negative comments so that he could never be in the entertainment industry, as well as other possible repercussions. Plaintiff saw Mr. Combs' violence firsthand. At a time in Miami, Mr. Combs became upset at a guest and became violent. Mr. Combs kicked the guest in the butt and stomach. Christina Coram asked plaintiff what happened, and plaintiff told her how upset he was about it. Defendant Coram instructed plaintiff to never speak about it, and there are repercussions that can happen if he did. Plaintiff was aware that nice gifts and nice dinners were given to the guests to make up for the situation. Plaintiff's duties were not localized to the city of Los Angeles. As part of plaintiff's duties, he would travel with Sean Combs to various locations in the United States and other countries to perform his duties, as explained in the complaint. Plaintiff spent at least 14 months out of the 25 months where he worked for Mr. Combs on a schedule of 7 consecutive days, 24 hours a day. Unknown to plaintiff and without plaintiff's authorization, hotel rooms were booked and paid for by using plaintiff's name. When plaintiff traveled with Mr. Combs, plaintiff was instructed by defendants that he was in charge of the MVP bag, which was a black Gucci bag. The bag was placed in a safe with a password, making it difficult for customs to identify. During domestic and international travel, plaintiff had to ensure that marijuana and other illicit drugs was on personal jet or charter for Mr. Combs. This bag contained the illicit drugs along with various sex toys. Plaintiff was told to be in charge of the bag and to keep it with him 24/7. During plaintiff's employment, he was instructed to show his loyalty to Sean Combs. If plaintiff refused, he was told he would be terminated and would be blackballed from the industry, along with other repercussions. During one particular loyalty test, Sean Combs had 2 female guests present. Mr. Combs instructed plaintiff to prove his loyalty to the king. Mr. Combs began rubbing the plaintiff's shoulders and told him to take a shot of tequila to calm his nerves. He pushed plaintiff to one of the female guests and informed plaintiff to have sex with the female guest. Mr. Combs further instructed the plaintiff to have sex with one of the female guests. Following Mr. Combs' instructions, plaintiff undid his pants and exposed himself to Mr. Combs and the female guest, who put a condom on his Johnson and to have sex with her. Plaintiff was very uncomfortable and unsure what to do, but he followed Mr. Combs' instruction out of fear that plaintiff would be fired and blackballed. Plaintiff asked the female guest if this was all right, hoping that she would say that she did not want to do this, but she stated it was all right. Mr. Combs stated that since the female guest said it was fine, the plaintiff should put the condom on and have sex with her. Plaintiff proceeded for a few moments. Feeling extremely uncomfortable, plaintiff quickly stopped and left the room upset. Plaintiff's loyalty would often be tested. One night, plaintiff was dismissed before midnight after starting the day at 9 a.m. Plaintiff made it home and received a call from Combs telling plaintiff to come back back to the house because he needed plaintiff's help. Plaintiff did as he was instructed and came back to Combs's residence. And upon his arrival, went directly to Mr. Combs's bedroom, where Mr. Combs was there with a guest. Mr. Combs instructed the plaintiff to get his remote and give it to him. Plaintiff was upset at this treatment but remained silent as there was a guest and retrieved Mr. Combs' remote and gave it to him. Mr. Combs proceeded to tell the guest, see, he is loyal and now he can go back home. Plaintiff was essentially treated by Mr. Combs like an animal playing fetch in order to prove his loyalty. This was extremely humiliating and demeaning to plaintiff. These type of events were a regular occurrence with Mr. Combs. Not only did plaintiff constantly have to prove his loyalty to Mr. Combs, but plaintiff was also instructed never to eat in front of Mr. Combs or he will be punished. Plaintiff would work various schedules, which varied depending on where plaintiff would be at. If plaintiff was in Los Angeles, he would work at least 5 to 6 days consecutively and be on call on the 7th day from 9 a.m. to midnight. If plaintiff was with Mr. Combs in a different state or country, plaintiff would be working 24/7, and even if Mr. Combs was sleeping. During his employment, Mr. Combs was very volatile. Mr. Combs would require plaintiff to come to his room while Mr. Combs was fully undressed and do certain things which Mr. Combs expected him to do, like getting him coffee, water, juice, and food. On several occasions, plaintiff would have to bring Mr. Combs his food. If the food was not to Mr. Combs' liking by saying the food is not godly enough for him, plaintiff would have to bring it back down and inform the chef and bring it back up at least 3 to 4 times. At times, Mr. Combs tossed the food at plaintiff and told him to tell the chef the food has to be prepared to his liking. During COVID, plaintiff was told he had to work with Mr. Combs, who was infected with COVID, and told to keep it a secret. Plaintiff was instructed that he had to remove his mask when Mr. Combs wanted him to speak. During COVID, plaintiff was instructed to attend a trip with Mr. Combs to Turks and Caicos for Mr. Combs' 51st birthday. Although Mr. Combs was infected with COVID, plaintiff did attend where several well-known celebrities attended. One of those celebrities became infected with COVID and called to inform them that he got COVID and wanted to ensure no one at the party had COVID. Plaintiff was instructed to keep quiet. Plaintiff did as he was told, and Mr. Combs stated to plaintiff, I understand you do music, and stated that Mr. Combs will be launching a new label, and with plaintiff's green eyes and light skin, plaintiff will make a mark. This comment was another way defendants manipulated plaintiff and controlled him. The services that plaintiff had to do for Mr. Combs extended to Mr. Combs' guests. Defendants would provide plaintiff's phone number to the guests and inform the various guests the plaintiff is there for them 24/7. Plaintiff would get requests to get food, to buy things, or get things, and plaintiff would comply. In addition to being the guest's personal servant, plaintiff was also responsible to ensure that guests were taken home after Wild King nights or any night. After 2 years of working with Mr. Combs, plaintiff was constructively terminated from his employment. At this point, it hasn't been that much in these lawsuits that I absolutely not believe. Diddy seems like at some point he was a diabolical individual. Hopefully he's changed, but knowing him, he probably hasn't. And as far as the Jigga Man goes, it does not seem like Jay-Z stands a chance when it comes to this judge. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything now going on in the world of Jay-Z and now the world of Diddy? Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below.
Launches a legal war against the attorney who filed a bombshell rape lawsuit against him. That Texas attorney, Tony Busby, has just fired back. He is defending his client's claims about being assaulted by both Jay-Z and Sean Combs 24 years ago and says he shouldn't be sanctioned for what he is doing. Oh, and by the way, Jay-Z just formally sued Busby for defamation. Yes, this is a mess, but we're going to break it down for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The legal and PR battle between Jay-Z and the attorney representing a woman who claims that the rapper raped her when she was just 13 years old, this has intensified once again. Now, if you've been following this saga, particularly here on Sidebar, you know that every week there's like another back and forth between both sides here. And as it currently stands, we have this anonymous accuser who says that Jay-Z, Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs raped her at a VMA's after party back in 2000, again, when she was 13 years old. It was originally filed in October against just Sean Combs. And I should also say, it only identified this alleged accomplice as Celebrity A. But then Jane Doe filed an amended complaint a few weeks back that says that Celebrity A is actually Jay-Z, real name Sean Carter, and he is now a defendant in this action. I'm talking one of the richest people in the entertainment industry, okay, one of the most well-known. Also, I should say that the amended complaint, it still lists a second alleged participant, not a defendant, but a second alleged participant, a female celebrity who's accused of watching this, being a witness to what happened, and she's only identified as Celebrity B, that she was in the room when this alleged assault took place. We still do not know who that person is. But since this was filed, Jay-Z has come out swinging, calling Tony Busby, this Texas attorney behind the lawsuit, a, quote, deplorable human being with no honor or dignity. Jay-Z accused Busby of extorting him in the lead up to this lawsuit, essentially accusing Busby of approaching Jay-Z, pressuring him to pay over a hefty sum of money, or be, as Jay-Z claims, falsely accused in a public lawsuit. Hey, by the way, we want to keep following this Jay-Z story for you as it develops. And with that in mind, I have to thank our sponsor, Upside, because it's with their support that helps make episodes like this possible. Now, Upside is great if you don't know what it is. It's a free app that helps you get cash back when you buy daily essentials like gas, groceries, food. This is real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you transfer right into your bank account. Look here, I used Upside to find a gas station near me. I claimed an offer on Upside. I paid with my credit card at the pump, followed the steps on the app. I got cash back. Super simple. You can use Upside at all different kinds of places, restaurants, convenience stores. So to find out how much you could earn, you click the link in the description to download Upside, or you scan the QR code on screen and you use our promo code SIDEBAR because you get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. Hope you can check it out. Now, what has happened? Jay-Z has denied all of the allegations in this lawsuit, and Tony Busby has denied any allegation that he was trying to extort Jay-Z. He said all that he was trying to do, and what he was doing, is he was engaging in standard pre-litigation practice where you send somebody a letter in an effort to resolve the situation, particularly through mediation. But Busby, now we got to talk about him. He just filed, and this is what we're going to get into, he just filed a response that we have to talk about. And I got to give you some backstory on where this response is coming from. So the controversy here stems from this. The fact that Jane Doe, this anonymous accuser, sat down for an interview with NBC. Now, remember, she claims at 13 years old, she got dropped off at Radio City Music Hall in New York City back in 2000, where the Video Music Awards were being held. She didn't have a ticket, so she wandered around outside, maybe hoping to see a celebrity or two. But who she saw instead was one of Sean Combs' bodyguards, who allegedly told her to come back later that night. He'd take her to a home where Combs was throwing an after party. And when Jane Doe gets to that party, she believes that the drink that she was given was laced with drugs because she started feeling woozy and disoriented. And she says when she went to find a room to lie down in, that was when she was assaulted by both Combs and Jay-Z. That's what she's alleging. And again, I should also tell you that Sean Combs has also denied these allegations as well. But when Jane Doe spoke with NBC News recently, she acknowledged that there are parts of her stories that, yes, they have some inconsistencies. Jane Doe was quoted as saying, "I have made some mistakes," but she said she stands by her overall allegations and says, look, this happened 24 years ago. Of course, some details have been lost to time. But here are some of the issues. Jane Doe says that after the alleged rapes, she was able to run away from the home, find this gas station where she was allowed to use the phone. She said she had called her dad to come pick her up. Problem there is her father told NBC News he didn't remember that. And that if he had come to pick her up, it would have been a 5-hour drive. On top of that, he apparently told NBC News that he never even heard of this alleged attack on his daughter until the reporters came asking questions. Jane Doe also claimed that she spoke to or saw Benji Madden at this VMA's after party. He, of course, is the lead guitarist for the rock band Good Charlotte. His representatives, though, told NBC News that he was in the Midwest on tour at the time. So with that coming out, Alex Spiro, who's Jay-Z's high-powered attorney, sent a letter to the judge calling the allegations a sham. Quote, she claims the assault took place at an after party at Mr. Combs' home, but photos that night show Mr. Combs and Mr. Carter at Lotus nightclub for the after party. When pressed, the plaintiff admitted she was guessing about key details, including the time it took to reach the venue. She admits she has no single corroborating witness over the last 24 years. I talked about this before in a prior sidebar. It is possible, if you take her allegations as true, that Jay-Z And Sean Combs maybe went to a few places in that after party, so we don't know when this other after party where she claimed she was assaulted took place. But again, this is problematic for her, right? The fact that her father can't back it up, the fact that the Benji Madden incident, there was also an incident that she recalled a Jumbotron, but there's been evidence to suggest there wasn't a Jumbotron. So there's holes in this story. Now, NBC News, they tried to locate this friend who allegedly drove Jane Doe to the VMAs that night, but it appears that person has died. And they indicated that they tried to reach out to this person's relatives, but they didn't really have any luck. Now, Jay-Z reportedly told NBC, this incident didn't happen. And he says, look, but Tony Busby filed it in court anyway. He doubled down in the press, adding, true justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. Again, referencing Tony Busby. So Busby released a statement defending himself, saying, look, Jane Doe's case, it was referred to me by another firm. Her story had allegedly already been vetted. His statement read, our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists because we have interrogated her intensely. She has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. I've never had a client suggest that before. And for her part, this unnamed Jane Doe said to NBC, you should always fight for what happened to you. You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life. I just hope I can give others the strength to come forward like I came forward. And before we again go into his latest response, I just have to give you one more piece of background information, because after all this happened, attorney Alex Spiro filed this emergency motion with the court. And he asked that either the case be thrown out completely or Jay-Z be dismissed from the suit. And he also said he wants to ensure that evidence be preserved in this case because he alleged that Busby may actually destroy evidence. So in a memorandum in support of this motion, it reads, this is again from Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's lawyer, the fundamental inconsistencies in plaintiff's case revealed in the NBC interview, coupled with Busby's chronic inability to follow the rules in this case and others, creates a substantial risk that Busby will destroy evidence damaging to plaintiff's case, including evidence of his own misconduct. And the memo gives us a scathing summary of Busby's actions and how Spiro's firm believes that Busby has violated what's called Rule 11, that you act so badly in this case, you're a lawyer who acts so badly, you should be sanctioned, you should be punished by the court. I'll explain that in a minute, but what he writes is, rather than conducting his own due diligence to vet his client's claims, again, referring to Jane Doe, Busby merely relied on the purported vetting of another firm, telling NBC Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. But no one from the other firm signed the pleadings in this case. Busby did. He goes on to say, under these circumstances, it must be assumed that Busby will go to extraordinary lengths to conceal his ethical violations. There is accordingly a significant risk that Busby will seek to destroy documents or other evidence that would demonstrate that he knew or should have known that the allegations in the complaint were false. Okay, so there you have it. That's the backstory. Now, as I mentioned, Busby has responded. So, in a letter to United States District Court Judge Annalisa Torres of the Southern District of New York, that is where this case was filed, Busby writes, as with defendant Carter's prior letters filed in this case, it is histrionic in tone but substantively groundless. Defendant Carter threatens plaintiff with a Rule 11 motion based on questions raised by one single television interview concerning events occurring 24 years ago when plaintiff was 13 years old. And he goes on to write, defendant Carter's threat of a Rule 11 motion is frivolous because it characterizes run-of-the-mill disputes of fact as proof that plaintiff's complaint is baseless. None of the factual issues Carter identifies are sufficient even to grant summary judgment in Carter's favor, much less support Rule 11 sanctions. The fact that the defendant or a potential witness doesn't agree with or recollect the facts alleged in the complaint does not and cannot give rise to a motion for sanctions for filing a baseless complaint. Defendant Carter's threat of an immediate sanctions motion on the first whisper of factual uncertainty is just one more instance of bullying intended to have a chilling effect on plaintiff's counsel, and any potential plaintiffs watching these proceedings. That refers to, of course, any other potential Jay-Z or Sean Combs accusers. So let me break this down for you real quick. First, for a court to grant sanctions under Rule 11, usually monetary punishment, in a case like that, it is not common, okay? It is rare for a court to do that. You have to be talking about egregious bad behavior. Rule 11 is about a lawyer making false representations to the court, filing a lawsuit for an improper purpose, like merely just to harass someone, that a lawyer is asserting claims or defenses that are not backed up by the facts, the law, or evidence currently known or likely to be known. That is what we're talking about. And here, Busby is like, what are we saying? We're saying that Jane Doe's claims are just absolutely fake because Jay-Z said this didn't happen, or her father says he doesn't remember this, or a celebrity wasn't there. Look, she is recounting something from 24 years ago when she was a young girl. And also, I think he would argue, in any case, there's going to be conflicting witnesses about what did or didn't happen. These are why he says run-of-the-mill disputes. That can't be proof that her claims have no evidentiary support. And when he mentions summary judgment and how Jay-Z is not entitled to summary judgment is when a party asks the court to step in, just decide this case in their favor before there's even a trial. You're basically saying there is nothing for a jury to decide here. The argument from Jay-Z would be there's no way a jury can look at this and find in favor of Jane Doe. We call it under the law, no genuine issue of material fact. Busby says just because there's a dispute here doesn't mean this didn't happen, doesn't mean he can't prove it, doesn't mean this shouldn't go to a jury. And he also explains there could be an issue with recollection here, that it's understandable because think about what she's alleging. She says she was raped at 13 years old. Of course, that affects recollection, but it doesn't mean her claims aren't true. Busby writes, a Rule 11 motion is frivolous on the additional ground that expecting a victim of sexual assault over 2 decades ago, when that victim was a minor and, as her interview revealed, also autistic, to have perfect recall of all facts is outrageous. Defendant Carter twists plaintiff's words when he accuses her, for instance, of guessing at the timing of events alleged in the complaint, such as the length of car rides. But New York courts have expressly acknowledged that plaintiffs in this type of case cannot be expected to have exacting recall and command of all relevant facts. And then he cites a New York case from 2021 that held, we recognize that in matters of sexual abuse involving minors, as recounted by survivors years after the fact, dates and times are sometimes approximate and incapable of calendrical exactitude, and approving allegations spanning a 4-year window of time in which the abuse could have occurred. Busby also cites a second issue with this Rule 11 motion, the timing. He writes, Defendant Carter also asked this court to alter the federal rules of civil procedure in his favor by abrogating the mandatory 21-day Rule 11 safe harbor period without any legal support or factual justification whatsoever. So a quick primer here. Under the federal rules, a motion for sanctions, quote, must not be filed or be presented to the court if the challenged paper, claim, defense, contention, or denial is withdrawn or appropriately corrected within 21 days after service or within another time the court sets. So the reason we have that is because you want to give a party, a plaintiff or a defendant and their lawyers some time to review the objections from the other side and figure out if they need to amend or withdraw something. They should be allowed some time to fix this. And Busby says Jay-Z is asking the court to shorten that time period from 21 days to 1 day. And he argues Jay-Z has not provided any support for why he should be entitled to this. And Busby also argues that this motion from Jay-Z and other legal steps Jay-Z and his attorneys have taken, such as requiring that the issue of whether Jane Doe should have to reveal her identity, that it needs to be resolved now at this part, at the start of this case, all of this, Busby says, is crossing the line into bad faith. And from there, Busby goes more on the attack. He writes, moreover, outside of the courtroom, Mr. Carter has employed tactics of intimidation and harassment, even more extreme, tortious, and quite possibly illegal. My firm recently filed a lawsuit in Harris County, Texas, that details how Mr. Carter's company, Rock Nation, and his counsel have bribed my clients to file lawsuits against my firm, threatened former clients, impersonated state officials, and engaged in other behavior far beyond the pale of acceptable conduct. Their tactics won't work, and they will be addressed in more detail in connection with the plaintiff's briefing on plaintiff's anonymity. So they haven't decided that issue about whether or not Jane Doe will have to remain anonymous. That's going to be continued to be argued. But what he's alleging here, and what this is in relation to, is something that we talked about on a previous sidebar. How Busby's firm did file a lawsuit claiming that Rock Nation paid people to impersonate officials, use fake badges, offer money to people who agreed, essentially the argument is, to file lawsuits against Busby's law firm. For example, the lawsuit states one such target of defendant's solicitation was plaintiff Gerardo Garcia. He was injured in a Jones Act lawsuit and hired the Busby law firm to represent him. His case was settled in 2020. He was happy with the resolution of his case and had no complaints with the Busby law firm. Nearly 5 years later, after his case had been resolved, not seeking to hire a lawyer or file a lawsuit, Mr. Garcia was contacted out of the blue by 2 investigators. This contact was an illegal solicitation and was made on behalf of and as part of a conspiracy involving defendants. According to Garcia, 2 investigators came to his home and flashed some sort of badge at him, stating that they were from the state. They asked him about his 2020 settlement, wanting to know if he was happy with the result and asking to see the paperwork. They allegedly said they could get him in touch with a private lawyer who could sue the Busby firm and get him a lot of money. So again, that's what he's referencing in his letter. And going back to this letter from Tony Busby, he writes the court, like Mr. Combs, Mr. Carter is rich, famous, and powerful. Mr. Carter will exert all the pressure he can to intimidate and harass plaintiff, me, or anyone else. The chilling effect of these efforts is substantial, as is the potential chilling effect of a Rule 11 motion being brought in these circumstances. And finally, he also addresses in this letter one more thing. He addresses Jay-Z's legal team's claim that Tony Busby is not licensed to practice law in this New York court, and that he never sought admission, and that he neither sought admission to practice on a temporary basis for the case. We call that pro hoc vice. And they say, despite that, Tony Busby has been signing papers in this case nonetheless. Well, Busby has a response to that. He writes in this letter that Jay-Z's December 13th letter includes a substantial amount of defamatory suggestions about me, including that I am somehow attempting to circumvent the authority of this court to enforce Rule 11 against me. That is nonsense. I am a member of the State Bar of New York and am admitted to the Eastern District of New York. I intend to apply for reciprocal admission to the Southern District. The fact that I have signed pleadings and letters filed in this court does not reflect any attempt by me to evade responsibility for anything. To the contrary, I have signed those pleadings and papers because I am lead counsel in this and other similar cases pending in this district. Now, here, look, in the end, this is my analysis. I think that a Rule 11 sanctions is probably premature, right? I think there's a strong possibility that the judge will not impose sanctions at this stage of the litigation unless there's more definitive proof that Busby knew Jane Doe's claims were all false and that they are false and that he just filed it anyway. I think there needs to be a bit more explored here. I think there's an argument to be made that, look, I mean, of course, there's a difference between what a plaintiff and a defendant say happened. And of course, there's going to be competing witnesses. But again, let's see where that goes. Now, before we go, one more thing I have to mention. Before Sean Carter, Jay-Z, was named as a defendant by name in this Jane Doe lawsuit, he apparently filed an anonymous lawsuit against Tony Busby, again, claiming he extorted him. But now it is being reported by outlets such as Rolling Stone and People. He has added a defamation claim in his legal action against this Texas lawyer. Defamation is a false statement published to a third party. And since you're dealing with a public figure, you have to prove actual malice, that you knew this statement was false when you made it, or you acted with reckless disregard for the truth when you made it. You didn't even do the proper due diligence. And here it's about the fact that Busby, Jay-Z claims, held a press conference months ago announcing that he would be filing a multitude of lawsuits against Sean Combs and that he would be naming names. And then what does he end up doing? He names Jay-Z as really the first high-profile alleged accomplice to Sean Combs, who, as we know, is currently facing federal sex crimes charges. So Jay-Z's complaint, filed in LA, reportedly states, beginning in October 2024, Busby spoke on any news platform that would have him, threatening that his firm had a long list of names of people in the entertainment industry who he accused of terrible conduct and who should be prosecuted and put underneath the jail. And the complaint further states, and Busby then gleefully announced to the world that one name on his long list was Mr. Carter, claiming that he engaged in criminal sexual assault. Now, Busby denied the defamation claims, replying via press statement, "The new claim is patently frivolous and will be dismissed. I've never said a word about him. This is just another attempt to bully and intimidate me. It just won't work." Now, so in my opinion, I think that this defamation claim might be tricky to win because usually parties are protected from being sued for defamation when they file lawsuits and they file legal claims against each other. Every lawsuit is an accusation that the other side will deny. You can't just say, oh, well, everybody can sue for defamation. Otherwise, you really wouldn't have lawsuits. People can't just turn around and automatically be able to sue for defamation because, again, that would chill lawsuits from coming forward. But if there were statements made in public, that's a different story. Now, Busby may say, I never mentioned Jay-Z by name in any of my prior comments before filing this Jane Doe lawsuit. The counter argument to that would be, well, now we know who you were talking about. It's like in the Johnny Depp case, right? He wasn't named specifically in that Washington Post op-ed piece about domestic violence that was penned by his ex Amber Heard. But the jury said in that trial, those statements were clearly about him and they were defamatory. So let's see how all this shakes out. I am sure there will be a lot more ahead. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for
all due respect to Jay-Z, there's an awful lot of pictures of you running around in your undies at parties with Diddy. And so you were at some of these parties. You know, when you see that, it's hard to walk away from that visual.
Jay-Z is sending his lawyer to the media to explain that his friendship with Diddy has only been professional. He doesn't want the world to know that he's been best friends with Diddy for decades. Ever since the 90s, these two have worked together on business ventures, celebrated birthdays together, donated to charities together, and possibly committed crimes together. In this video, we're going to explain exactly how close Jay-Z is with Diddy. So let's get into it. One thing we're not going to do is sit here and act like Jay-Z and Diddy haven't been friends for years now. Ever since Jay-Z got wrapped into this lawsuit against Diddy, he's been trying to distance himself. And his lawyer, Alex, went as far as to say that Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs, saying they knew each other professionally for a number of years. Just like in all professions, people know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to an NBA All-Star game, they support each other. So he's listing out these events that Jay-Z and Diddy have been spotted at together. Now, of course, there was a ton of reaction on social media because we've all known for years now, ever since they came into the game, Jay-Z and Diddy have been close. So if Jay-Z wants to sit here and send his lawyer off to the media to tell us that they aren't friends, I'm going to sit here and combat this and talk to you guys about how good of friends they really are. Now, we all know it seems like the music industry is going through its own Me Too era with Diddy as the face of it. Now, this lawsuit, originally filed in October 2024, was amended on December 8th to include Jay-Z's name. The accusations center around an alleged incident at an after party following an awards show more than 2 decades ago. We all know that this involves a 13-year-old girl and the details are disturbing, but Jay-Z claims he has nothing to do with it.
All due respect to Jay-Z, there's an awful lot of pictures of you running around in your undies at parties with Diddy. And so you were at some of these parties. You know, when you see that, it's hard to walk away from that visual.
Now, to really break down their relationship, their friendship, we have to go all the way back into the 90s. Jay-Z and Diddy first met in the 90s because they were both rising stars in the New York music scene. Both were born into single mother households in rough neighborhoods. They used their shared experiences to forge a bond that extended beyond music, way beyond music. Their first major collaboration actually came in the wake of a tragedy, the death of Notorious B.I.G. The two joined forces on Jay-Z's album In My Lifetime. 2 years later, they teamed up again for Diddy's single, Do You Like It? Do You Want It? No, sir. I'm going to give you no consent right now. No. In 2001, Jay-Z said, we were young, hungry, and dealing with a lot of pain. That kind of energy brought us together, which right off the bat, that is a concerning friendship. Like major red flags go up because you both are clearly like traumatized from something in your past and you're kind of egging each other on. Now, Diddy early on created his record label Bad Boy Records. And then a few years later, Jay-Z followed suit with Rockefeller. In 2012, Diddy was quoted saying, Jay has always been ahead of the curve. I respect his hustle from day one. Now, in the early 90s, Diddy was trouble, just as much trouble as he has been in the 2000s. We'll never forget that nightclub shooting where Jennifer Lopez allegedly passed him the firearm that he used to shoot somebody, and he actually ended up injuring a woman. Here's a clip of this woman who was a victim in that nightclub shooting, talking a little bit about how she feels about Diddy now being investigated.
What was your reaction to Tanya when you saw these massive raids at P. Diddy's two homes?
First and foremost, thank you for having me. It was very emotional. In short, it was extremely emotional because it was basically it marked 25 years, a quarter of a century since this occurred. And I've had to relive this over and over again, intermittently in that time. So when I saw it, it was very cathartic because I finally felt like justice would be done. Justice would be mine and belong to all of his victims.
Now, despite Diddy showing problematic tendencies early on in his career, Jay-Z has stayed supportive. Jay-Z said in 2010, "I've seen Diddy handle the worst situations with grace. That's part of the reason I've always respected him." Wait, hold up. Okay, so you've seen Diddy deal with some of the worst situations. What situations are you aware of, sir, that maybe we don't even know about? In the early 2000s, Jay-Z's personal and professional life intersected with Diddy's influence. Jay-Z started dating Beyonce in 2001 when she was 19 and he was 33. Their romance often unfolded at high-profile events, which were typically hosted by Diddy. That same year, Jay-Z and Beyonce made their relationship public by appearing in Vanity Fair's November issue. Their first musical collaboration, Bonnie and Clyde, released in 2002 and became a cultural moment. In 2003, Beyonce branched out from Destiny's Child and collaborated with Diddy on the track Summertime. The collaboration heightened the close connection between the two artists, saying, quote, "Beyonce and I have always vibed creatively," Diddy responded in an interview back in 2004. Years later, Beyonce continued to show support for Diddy, attending his lavish 50th birthday bash in 2019. She also made a heartfelt social media post in honor of Diddy. So when these two try to disconnect themselves from this man, I question, like, what's really going on here? Especially because we talked about like 5 men who came forward and they had separate suits, and a lot of them were between the years 2019 through 2022. So it's not like all of his bad acts were early in the 90s or the 2000s.
I'm having a great night.
Now, in 2005, we saw these two men partner together for Hurricane Katrina. Also, comment below if you were in Hurricane Katrina. Like, comment below and share a little story. The two donated $1 million to the relief fund, a gesture that showed how close these two were, that they were discussing this, like, tragedy and then working together on how to donate and then to probably get a tax write-off from it. I mean, let's be real, people. Speaking to the AFP at the time, Diddy emphasized on the importance of unity, saying, "When you hear Black people say brothers and sisters, it's really true. These are all the people I know and I'm related to somehow, some way. The human race is family." And at this time, people were loving Jay-Z and Diddy because they were doing so many good things, at least on the surface level. I mean, really, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's lawyer, you're going to act like these two aren't close friends? Look at them over here hanging out, donating a bunch of money. Now, just 2 years later, in August 2009, Jay-Z and Diddy performed together at Screamfest Music Festival. Sounds scary. It kind of reminds me of like Astro World, where a bunch of people died. Now, at this event, a resurfaced video shows Diddy playfully but aggressively spanking Jay-Z twice on stage, prompting backlash from fans and rivals alike. We've heard that Diddy has handfuls of male victims. So I don't know. I don't want to like assume his sexuality. I mean, at this point, who cares? But he's clearly bi or something. In 2009, a photo of Diddy and Jay-Z in a deep conversation at Diddy's birthday party became a centerpiece at the Rock and Roll of Hip Hop exhibition. I wonder what they were talking about. Diddy said, "That was one of my birthday parties, and I was just telling him I appreciate him coming. He was on tour and he flew in a private jet after one of his shows just to come to that party, and then he had to fly back out. And I was telling him how much I appreciated it and how much I value our friendship. Diddy emphasized, despite public perception of them as competitors, their relationship was built on mutual respect. Quote, people see us as competitors and different icons in the hip hop game, but that was just a moment of two black brothers telling each other how much they appreciate each other. That same year, the duo were spotted at an MTV VMA after party alongside Beyonce, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and others. Diddy's then girlfriend, Kim Porter, was there as well. Now, by 2010, Jay-Z and Diddy were essentially running the music industry, with Jay-Z having like a net worth of 63 million and Diddy having 30 million. Their success stemmed from business ventures, their record labels, and things that they worked on together. Now, sometime between 2016 and 2017, Diddy uploaded this video that shows him and Jay-Z together a lot. The video is uploaded to YouTube. It's titled Black Excellence, a short film. What's better than One Billionaire 2? Which is him and Jay-Z pretty much bloating about how they are billionaires, how they worked hard to get there. And again, he's posting like these YouTube videos of him with his best pal. You cannot tell me that these two are not close. I mean, that's beyond just like working together and collaborating. They are clearly trying to make the world know and see them as a power couple. Oh gosh, is this one of the freak offs?
How you doing? Feeling good? Oh, you put that thing on the.
One thing I want to note here, this video clip has gone viral because if you look in the background, it almost looks like there's like very young women back there wearing clear like stripper heels. And Jay-Z's like greeting Diddy in this room. Oh, you see how we do it here on a Saturday and there's like a bunch of girls in there? Where's Beyonce? You could just tell that these guys are close. Look at them hanging out. They even got the music playing, bumping, actually. Oh, the after party. Okay, so they originally invited 20 people. Let's see what this freak off becomes. Oh. Wow. Star-studded event. Diddy said in a 2010 Forbes interview, Jay has taught me a lot about legacy and vision. It's not just about hits, it's about building something that lasts. Jay-Z became the world's first hip-hop billionaire in 2019, and as of 2024, his net worth is 2.5 billion. Please don't come after me. Oh my God, I can't afford a battle with Jay-Z. I just can't. Now, in 2016, Diddy was on tour, and of course, Jay-Z made a surprise visit as a longtime friend and supporter. He joined Diddy on the stage for a performance of Public Service Announcement. This moment was a highlight of the tour, which celebrated 20 years of Bad Boy entertainment. That same year, we see pictures in, again, 2016, New York City, of Alicia Keys, Swizz Beatz, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, Diddy, Cassie, all together. I wonder what these people knew about Cassie and Diddy's relationship. Speaking to the crowd, Diddy expressed the depth of their bond, saying Bad Boy celebrating 20 years of hits, but this is an extended family. Standing beside Jay-Z, he added, whenever I get in trouble, this is the one I call. This is my strategist right here. This is my brother. Well, I wonder if Diddy called Jay-Z when he first started getting raided.
He reached out to me, and I told him that this right here was important. Bad Boy celebrating 20 years of hits. And this is extended family. You've been there with me through my ups and downs. Whenever I get in trouble, this is the one I call. It's my strategist right here. This is my brother.
Now in 2020, I mean, now it's been like consistently 20 years of them hanging out together. We saw them together once again. It was the Black Billionaires Brunch. The bond between Jay-Z and Diddy was celebrated publicly during Roc Nation's Black Billionaires Brunch in 2020. The event, which brought together influential Black figures, highlighted their shared success and solidarity. Diddy praised their enduring friendship, saying, we're here together and we're going to keep staying together and tighter. Jay-Z echoed the sentiment, saying, united we stand and ain't nothing else. We have a clip of this speech, so go ahead and check it out.
As we can tell,
there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch. Yeah. You understand?
Right.
And we here together, and we're gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand. And ain't nothing else to us.
Black excellence.
Now, just 2 years ago, we saw how close Diddy and Jay-Z's bond really is. In 2022, Jay-Z and Diddy once again demonstrated their close bond, starting with their shared appearance to honor DJ Khaled as he received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Later that year, Diddy was celebrated with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards, where Jay-Z paid tribute in a heartfelt video message. He said, quote, "Here's this guy from a neighborhood similar to where I grew up, who made it to these unreachable heights. Puff was the first one who came through and made us feel like it was us." Now, when Beyonce was going through her Lemonade era and calling out Jay-Z for cheating on her, Diddy did an interview with Andy Cohen, of all people, and he explained his take on it and also reaffirmed that he and Jay-Z are close friends.
As a close friend of Jay-Z, what was your reaction to him opening up about his infidelities in the Family Feud?
Which, do we actually know who he cheated on Beyonce with? I mean, I've got a conspiracy about him offing Kathy White. If you know about the Kathy White conspiracy, it's coming soon. Make sure you're subscribed.
Video.
I mean, that's what music gives you the power to do. And I think that, you know, once you're ready to share it with your fans in the world, then nobody could judge it. You know, they have to accept what it is. And I thought it was dope.
Of course, he's going to stand down for his good friend Jay-Z and explain this. And I feel like when it comes to Beyonce's Lemonade, like Jay-Z had his hand in it, like big time. And I think they curated it in a way where, yeah, it's not going to make him look good, but it didn't ruin him at all. Didn't even really taint his reputation at this time. This is doing more damage with the Diddy case than that did.
Were you surprised?
No.
Did he put it out there?
No, I wasn't. I was surprised about Lemonade.
I wonder if, were you surprised that he cheated? No, of course not.
I think Beyonce did a great job, and she tackled something that a lot of women have had to go through, and also Jay on the other side, he did what he had to do.
Yeah, you know what? That's what these artists are trying to do. And I feel like Beyonce, with where she is in her career, her main goal is to seem relatable in some capacity. That's the only way to really connect with fans and to seem like like a normal person and to sell records, because there are so many normal people consuming these celebrities' music. I mean, when you're living the life of Beyonce, is there really much to relate to? Probably not. I mean, a cheating affair, that's convenient content.
And most importantly, their family stayed tight and together, and they were able to weather the storm. And that's a shining example of a couple that stays together through the good and the bad.
Diddy is constantly asked about this couple, which I think is kind of bizarre. When Beyonce gave birth to her twin children, he was asked again about her birth and his friendship with Jay-Z, again reaffirming that they are good friends.
Big news. I mean, all over the world, people have been talking. I don't know if the twins, Beyonce and Jay.
Yeah.
I know that you are pretty close to them.
Yes.
I wonder, have you been able to reach out? Have you been able to say anything to them?
Definitely. It's a big moment for like our whole crew, our whole inner circle.
And if you guys did not believe me that these two buds are close, not just professionally, but in real life, here's another clip of Diddy then talking about his good friend Jay-Z.
Only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside of family
that should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
that should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
Now, since Diddy's houses have been raided and he's been locked up, Jay-Z's been tight-lipped. So has Beyonce. Despite their long-standing friendship, Jay-Z has remained notably silent on the matter. His absence from the public discourse drew criticism, including from 50 Cent, who mocked the rapper on Instagram by posting a milk carton of Jay-Z with the word "missing" caption on it. Anyone asking, where's Jay-Z now? Especially now that your friend Diddy is all locked up, why don't you go and defend him? As allegations against Diddy just keep escalating, Jay-Z is now tied into these, and he's trying everything in his power to disconnect. Allegedly, like Venmoing people to pay them off, allegedly intimidating. I don't even want to say anymore because I'm kind of scared of this man, but he is going to run an entire campaign to try to disconnect himself from Diddy and this mess. But I want you guys to leave this video understanding how close these men really are. So when you see the headlines, you know better because your friend Sloan told you so.
probably not the way Sean Diddy Combs ever expected to spend his holidays, behind bars in a federal detention center awaiting trial for sex trafficking, among other charges. His time behind bars is a stark contrast from living in multi-million-dollar mansions, flying on a private jet, and eating the finest foods, or at least a home-cooked meal. But as Combs is expected to remain behind bars until his trial in May after being denied bail multiple times, there are some things he could do on Christmas Day. It's not the first holiday Combs is spending behind bars. He spent Thanksgiving there too. Just a day before Thanksgiving, federal judge Arun Subramanian denied the defense's request to release the Bad Boy Records founder on bail. In his ruling, Judge Subramanian wrote the prosecution showed clear and convincing evidence that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. So instead, Diddy spent Thanksgiving with other detainees, and they were served turkey roast, mashed potatoes, mixed veggies, cranberry sauce, gravy, rolls, and assorted holiday pies. And while Combs presumably is used to spending the Christmas holiday with his friends surrounded by a festive tree, instead he'll continue to be surrounded by other inmates. But he could play dominoes, card games, 3-on-3 basketball, and even soccer. The mogul can also expect a traditional holiday meal, just probably not one prepared by some of the best chefs in the world. According to MDC Brooklyn, the menu for Christmas Day features Cornish hen, mac and cheese, dinner rolls, cranberry sauce, and a holiday dessert. But the lunch menu is reportedly subjected to change. Combs has been behind bars since his arrest on September 16th. Federal prosecutors charged the mogul with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution, all of which he pleaded not guilty to. But Combs is facing a mountain of legal issues without his federal case. Since November of 2023, he's faced more than 30 lawsuits accusing him of sexual misconduct. Most recently, 3 men filed 3 different lawsuits anonymously accusing the embattled mogul of rape. One of the men claimed he was an errand boy for Combs' Bad Boy Records. He claims Combs raped him in February of 2020 at the Intercontinental Hotel in Times Square. Another John Doe claimed he was drugged and raped in 2019 at an after party at the Park Hyatt Hotel. He claimed when he had a brief moment of consciousness, he saw a man and woman sitting on the bed recording the rape on a camera. Meanwhile, the third alleged victim claimed the Bad Boy Records founder and his associates took turns raping him in the summer of 2020 at Combs' Hamptons home. Combs' attorney denied the most recent claims in a statement saying, "These complaints are full of lies. We will prove them false and seek sanctions against every unethical lawyer who filed fictional claims against him." The only one that's been settled was the one that seemingly opened the floodgates, that being Cassandra Ventura's, which was filed in federal court, then settled a day later. Combs has denied all the allegations made against him. Through his attorneys, they wrote in part, quote, "Mr. Combs has full confidence in the facts and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor." But Combs hasn't been the only famous name in the lawsuits accusing the mogul of rape. Last year, Liza Gardner accused Combs and singer Aaron Hall of raping her when she was just 16 years old. That case is still ongoing, and both men denied all allegations against them, and at the time, Combs called the filing a money grab. Last year, a woman using the moniker Jane Doe filed a lawsuit claiming Combs, former Bad Boy CEO Harv Pierre, and another unknown man sex trafficked and gang raped her when she was just 17 years old. Her identity remained anonymous for nearly a year until an amended complaint was filed naming the Jane Doe as Anna Kane, the wife of a former NHL player. Kane had to refile her lawsuit after a judge ruled that she had to do so in order for her lawsuit to continue. In a statement, Kane wrote, quote, "I had hoped to use a pseudonym in pursuing justice for what happened to me as a teenager. Defendants demand that I use my name was an attempt to intimidate me, but I am not intimidated. I am prepared to proceed and hold accountable those who have harmed me." Combs denied those allegations. In a statement last year, he wrote in part, quote, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy." Harv Pierre also denied the allegations, writing, quote, "This is a tale of fiction. I have never participated in, witnessed, nor heard of anything like this ever. These disgusting allegations are false in a desperate attempt for financial gain." Then this month, another high-profile face was added to a rape lawsuit involving Combs. In October, Texas attorney Tony Busby filed a lawsuit on behalf of a Jane Doe who alleged Combs raped her with another celebrity when she was just 13 years old. In the original filing, Jane Doe claimed this happened at an after-party for the 2000s VMAs. She claimed a driver who worked for Combs told her she fit what Diddy was looking for. Doe claimed she was given a drink at the party that made her woozy, so she lied down in a room, and that's when Combs entered the room with a male celebrity known as Celebrity A and a female celebrity known as Celebrity B. She claimed Celeb A removed her clothes and raped her while Combs and the female celebrity watched. Then Combs forced her to perform oral sex on him. Celebrity A and B were unnamed for months until an amended complaint was filed by Busby with Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z's name, attached to the filing. Jay-Z denied and slammed the allegations against him, claiming Tony Busby was extorting him for money, while Busby claimed Carter orchestrated a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation to silence the plaintiff from naming Jay-Z. Last week, an attorney for Carter asked the judge to deny a request to allow the plaintiff to remain anonymous or to dismiss the case. But while Sean Carter fights to get his name off that lawsuit, Sean Combs will remain where he's been in MDC Brooklyn, as he might have bigger fish to fry right now, like federal prosecutors, as he could face a lengthy sentence behind bars if he's convicted on the charges. It's Diddy's first Christmas behind bars, which is probably a huge adjustment from how he's previously spent the holiday. Let's bring on now prison consultant Justin Paperny. Justin, great to see you, and thank you so much for joining me today. You know, it's been 3 months since Diddy has been behind bars. In your opinion, how do you think that adjustment's been for him?
It's incredibly difficult. When people go to prison, they want to lay low, get off the grid. But when you're so high profile and a celebrity, and we dissect every move that happens, it's very hard. And it's only amplified during the holiday season, which is a time of togetherness, spending time with family, forgiveness. Instead, he's isolated in this community, probably feeling a great deal of regret and pain. His family is enduring regret and pain. So it's always hard to be in prison, but it is heightened during the holiday season.
Sure. And with that being, with it being the holiday time, we're seeing things for inmates to do on the holiday, being card games, basketball, soccer. But is this really a bright and shiny picture of how it really is behind bars?
They'll do a few things. The prison will do a handful of things during the holiday season to remind you that it's the holiday season, maybe some hot chocolate or a cookie or some donuts and candy. But you're in this sterile, kind of hopeless environment. So despite a few things they do, it doesn't overcome or undo the pain that people feel while being in prison, just the psychological impact of being in prison. And then during the holiday season, separated from your family, it's devastating. And with Diddy, he's not enjoying the basketball, as I understand it, the backgammon or the cards. He's enduring time in isolation because of the high profile nature of his case. So if anything, it's harder for him. And I presume, we may not hear this from his lawyers who maintain his innocence, I presume he's feeling some regret and probably wishing he could have done some things differently. But as we know in life, do-overs don't exist.
Exactly. And I'm sure going from, mega mansions to, personalized chefs as well, too. I'm sure that can be a huge adjustment. And while the meal for Christmas Day kind of sounds appetizing, you have turkey roast, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and all that food sounds good. But do you think the food is going to be as good as it sounds?
It's not as good as it sounds because I've been to prison on a Christmas or Thanksgiving. And so it's a little better. I will tell you what will make it measurably harder for him is everything he did was big. So it wasn't just celebrating Christmas. He did it in the public eye, sharing these shared values of contribution, community, giving back. That was this mantra or image that he tried to create. And now standing for count in prison, isolated, separated from family and community, to many, especially the government, it reaffirms it was all a ruse. He was a charlatan, he was a crook, he was a criminal. So besides being isolated, the idea that this public image he had worked for decades to build is crumbling in front of him, it is devastating, which is just why the psychological impact of being in prison is hard, especially during the holidays. And no good meal, I can tell you from experience, is going to remove or take or get any, it's not going to remove any of the pain that he's feeling. It may feel good for a few minutes, but that's it.
And I've been in the courthouse a few times for Diddy's court hearing. And from what I've seen, he's been very slimmed down. He has lost a tremendous amount of weight from the videos that we had seen of him, even over the summer, right before he was arrested. So he slimmed down. He has grayed tremendously. What do you think, has been attributed to his slimmer look, being that he is locked up? I'm sure there's not a lot of things for him to do, but are you surprised that he's lost that amount of weight?
I'm not surprised he's lost a lot of weight. Most people lose weight. The stress of the environment alone, sleeping less, eating less, not having luxuries that we could take for granted so easily in the community, all of those factors alone are going to compel someone to lose weight pretty easily. I mean, you might not have the best appetite, even if he could eat. So it's very common for people to go to prison and eat or lose weight. Now, of course, some people can put on weight because if you're shopping in the commissary, there's cookies, there's ice cream, there's junk food, heavily processed stuff. But it doesn't surprise me that he's lost weight, could be dealing with some depression, and it's very common. The longer that people are in, the more weight actually they tend to lose. And then unfortunately, as soon as they come home, I will tell you, most people tend to put that weight right back on.
Yeah, it truly is kind of a stark contrast from what we've seen months before and then now to now. And oftentimes I think when we see prison shows, we think of, a pod boss who's running the show. Do you think that's the case we're seeing of Diddy, being that he is so famous? Do you think that he's getting special treatment possibly from other inmates or detainees?
I think some inmates or guards could try to help him or influence him or give him some niceties that other prisoners might not get. But I think there's great risk for them because security cares about institution. They do not need any more problems. So I can assure you, memos, there are investigations going on in these prisons, several organizations looking into these prisons. So there is a great deal of scrutiny. So staff, if they value their job, I can assure you, aren't going to cross the line. And if he's smart, it would be in his interest to not take these niceties because if God forbid he's convicted, he's going to want to get the shortest sentence. If he pleads guilty, which might be insane, he's going to want the shortest sentence. What he does in prison to build a record can influence a sentencing judge, right? What he does today, is he reading, is he writing, is he contributing, or is he causing trouble? These are all factors the government will consider, a federal judge will consider, I assure you, because we've interviewed federal judges at a sentencing hearing. So he's got to lay low. If he says family is his highest value, proving worthy of their love and support, he will not succumb to temptation and take advantage of things that could make his life a little better, because it would be to his long-term detriment, a longer federal prison sentence.
And Combs has also been wanting bail since he was arrested. That's not really surprising at all here. But are you surprised, though, that 3 different federal judges all said no and that he has to stay there until trial?
I am not surprised at all. I'm surprised that some people held out hope. When the government alleges of witness tampering and your family's putting out Instagram posts to potentially influence the jury, they allege post-offense conduct of obstructing the investigation. His odds of getting bail were very low had he done everything perfectly. But when the government alleges you're engaging in criminal conduct, they're going to say he's a menace in the prison. Imagine what he would continue to do in the community. So I'm telling you, someone once said to me, I think he's going to get bail. I said, who have you been talking to? No chance, 0. It's not coming.
And also there's been a lot of back and forth between the federal prosecutors and Diddy's attorneys about the trial prep and how he isn't getting access to things that he needs ahead of his trial in May. But I want to ask you, what is trial preparation like for detainees in a federal detention center?
So I'm not a lawyer, but of course we've had many people in our community, white collar advice, in prison pending a sentencing or trial date. It's harder because you don't have access to the phone or email that you would like. The government would say you should have thought about that before you obstructed justice, and that's why you're being held in custody. But you're able to visit with your lawyers on approved days. He'll be alone with his lawyers for hours at a time, going through trial prep, hundreds of files, but it's not 24 hours a day. And while he has legal paperwork and he's in a cell and he's preparing, it's different than immediately being able to pick up the phone and call the lawyer and say, let's do this. So it is really constrained inside of that environment, despite having multiple opportunities to visit with his lawyers and prepare for trial. It's harder. The government knows that it's harder. They will continue to use that as an excuse. If he loses, one of the excuses you can expect them to say is, it was harder for us to prepare for trial because he was in custody. This is something the government set up. They'll continue to play it wasn't our fault card. It always seems to be everybody else's fault. And the lawyers, I will tell you, have done a pretty good job of getting that message across. And some people accept it, and of course, some don't.
Exactly. And, I want to go back to something you had mentioned earlier in our discussion about the emotional and mental toll it's probably that being behind bars is probably taken on Combs right now. I want to go back to, when I was in those court hearings and stuff like that, I noticed kind of this wave of confidence that Diddy kind of exudes when he enters the courtroom. And I thought that was particularly interesting in the sense that he has been behind bars for months now, likely didn't think that he would be in this position ever in his life. But what do you think he is trying to portray by appearing so jovial and confident when he's in these court hearings? Do you think it's just because a lot of eyes are on him, especially us as reporters?
I like that he's doing that. I think his family's watching. He has children. I have said when you visit in prison, you can fake it through email, you can fake it when you call home, but your family knows when they visit if you're doing it. Are you disheveled? Are you angry? Are you mad? Are you happy? Are you depressed? So I like that if you can call it a front, fake it to make it, so to speak, but I like that he's been strong and smiling in front of the family. It's clear that he loves them, that he's thinking of them, and he may be conveying a message to them that we are going to prevail. This is temporary. But despite all the criticism that's come his way, and I've thrown some of it myself, I like the confidence he's showing in front of his family. And I'm sure, if anything, it makes them feel better. And they can probably answer this question. He's okay. He's getting through it, and he's going to continue to get through it. So I like that.
He's probably definitely putting on a brave face, especially for his youngest daughters, the twins, as well as his daughter's Chance. And then he has that 2-year-old daughter as well, too. Justin Perperny, I want to thank you so much for your insight into this. Before we sign you off, though, is there any type of advice you would share to Combs?
It's never too late to begin making better decisions. At some point, if he wants to say, I want to get out of federal prison at some point, if he can introspect and try to understand the government's version of events and say, I don't agree with everything, but I agree with some of it. And if he could accept some responsibility, negotiate some plea agreement that could get him out of there at some point, it will be better for him, for victims, for his family. Too many defendants double down. They continue to exacerbate their struggles. And in the end, they get longer sentences. They deal with a great deal of regret while they serve that longer sentence. So I would say what I tell every defendant immersed in a government investigation: today's the best day to begin preparing and making better decisions.
All right, Justin, again, thank you for the excellent insight and analysis into this. I appreciate it.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you are Sean Diddy Combs, you got the nerve to be asking for sanctions. But a lot of people are saying that this might be proof that J-Lo may be Celebrity B. Why? Because they're asking for sanctions right after. This directly from In Touch Weekly. Ryan Nauman did his thing. They're saying Diddy demands sanctions days after the male accuser drags J-Lo into the court battle. Now, listen. Is this thing for sanctions tied to J-Lo? I don't know, but I find it funny that this is the most active Diddy has gotten on any of his cases. And that's the minute he mentioned J-Lo's name. I will say this, when you hear Diddy's defense on why this person needs to be sanctioned, spoiler alert, it won't be sanctioned. It can only be sanctioned if they find out they're lying about you, Diddy. And right now, come on, it's too many fish in the sea. Diddy asked a federal judge to award him sanctions against a male prisoner suing him over an alleged sexual assault that Diddy claims never happened. Okay, let me just say this. Diddy claims nothing ever happened. Diddy actually claimed Cassie didn't happen until we saw the video, so keep that in mind. According to the legal documents obtained by In Touch, that means Diddy's team probably gave them over. Now, just hear me out. If you guys didn't see the live I did about Blake Lively exposing everyone, you need to go check it out. It shows how they use legacy media to plant stories to start a narrative on social media. And the narratives are written by the crisis management and PR people. Why is this important? Because Diddy is said to be either working with that crisis manager, PR team, or something similar to what happened with Blake Lively. They literally, basically everything we thought we knew about the It Ends With Us tour, it was all a lie. Okay, so anyway, let's get back into this, right? Again, because it was planned in Touch Weekly, was this given by Diddy's team? Did y'all pass him the corporate environment, pass the court docs? According to the court docs obtained by In Touch, Diddy and his legal team demanded the court stop Derek Lee Cardello Smith's lawsuit from moving forward. Diddy's lawyer pointed out that Derek is currently serving a decades-long sentence. And so will you be. Again, relevance, and accused him of attempting to leverage the federal judiciary as a tool for harassment and extortion. Okay, but are you not in jail for trying to leverage maybe not the federal judiciary, but for harassment and obstruction of justice, which is a level of extortion, I think. Anyway, they point out Derek has filed several substantially identical lawsuits against Diddy, in each case demanding enormous sums of money based on wholesale fabrications. The funny thing is, Diddy actually got, I think, didn't the judge award that man 10 million or 100, some crazy amount of money because Diddy refused to appear in court? Did he also not submit, according to legal documents, Bureau of Prison visitation records in which Diddy visited him and tried to get him to settle? Now, we do not know what their communications were once Diddy walked into that jail, but you have Diddy, who is a powerhouse, visiting someone he doesn't know, and there's a record of it in the Bureau of Prisons. Now, I don't see how this man faked a Bureau of Prison record. When you go to visit someone, I assume they make you show ID, metal detectors, security clearance. I think you have to even put people on a visiting list. So again, huh? Like, I get it. I get it. I get it. You're trying to create him out as a loony. But if he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, what were you doing visiting him in his jail cell? Again, he has Bureau of Prison records that show that Diddy visited him while he was on jail. For what? For what? For what? Do we know if he offered him a settlement? No, that's something for a jury to sign. But you have a visitation record, so you clearly know this man. Get this. His lawyer continued, his frequent filings clearly indicate he has no intention of stopping his meritless attacks. As a result of Derek's harassment, Diddy has incurred significant legal fees and costs. Derek's barrage of meritless, fraudulent filings must come to an end. Why do I feel like Diddy was like, yo, why do I feel like Diddy's going to try to go after Derek to see if Derek even has $10 that he can put on his books so he can pay Mark Agnifilio? Come on, man. This man is in jail. Your significant legal costs are coming from you defending yourself in the federal government. You didn't even make an appearance in this matter. That's why you got the default, and then you made an appearance. On top of that, if it never happened and it's completely meritless, why don't you just sign a sworn affidavit saying, I've never seen, heard, I do not know this man, and we were never in that scenario, and this never happened? And why don't you also get a sworn affidavit from J-Lo? He called J-Lo to testify. Suspicious timing. Speaking of timing, you guys, I got a write-up in the Hollywood Reporter. It is about the way YouTube is the new media, the new source of infotainment, and the reason people are moving traditionally away from legacy media to the Hollywood Reporter. If you guys, the link is in the bio. If you guys could go check it out, it is literally 3.5 years of hard work culminated, right? Anyway, go check it out. It's a great read. And I really would like to know what you guys think of the think of everything. Again, In Touch Weekly, Legacy Media. I'm not saying they were not even paid, but they posted it just as a favor. But I don't know. Now, anything we see in media, we should actually question. The same way you should question anything you see in YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. At the end of the day, your own research is your best, right? I read, I give my views, I do my research, I give my opinion. But baby, at the end of the day, everybody's voice must be heard. So let me know what you think. Anyway, let's get this. This is not Derek's first attempt at a shakedown. And unless this court intervenes, it will not be his last. Derek has a lengthy history of filing frivolous lawsuits in this district and beyond. I love the way every single lawsuit that comes against Diddy is the most frivolous thing they've ever heard, just like Cassie's. They said the overwhelming majority, if not all, of Derek's cases have been dismissed as meritless. Well, first of all, Agnifilio, right? What are you talking about? Let's get into this, right? Like, literally, I could just hear him now. Yana, it's not Derek's first attempt at a shakedown. And unless this court intervenes, it will not be his last. Derek has a lengthy history of filing frivolous lawsuits in his district and beyond, Yana. The overwhelming majority, if not all, of Derrick's cases have been dismissed as meritless, Your Honor. Still, he has continued filing. Numerous judges have admonished Derrick, stop litigating vexatiously. Okay, again, all that could be true, but what that got to do with you? What that got to do with you, Diddy? Because he claims to have evidence that you visited him in the Bureau of Prisons. He also had his story about what you did to him when you, quote unquote, offered him a drink at a party and told him he added a little something to it for him. He fell asleep and woke up to Diddy having sex with a woman in front of him. He claimed Diddy looked at him and said, I did this to you too. Again, he had this story before anybody was going off on end suing Diddy, right? This lawsuit's been pending. So how did he know what you did, how you did it, this, that, and the third, if he never met you? Now, again, it is for the jury to decide whether this man is lying or not. And if he's lying, it should be very easy to prove it, right? It should be very easy to prove it. I love the fact in this new world they're trying to act like it's so hard to prove that you're innocent of rape when that is one of the easiest things to prove in America. The only point is, listen, let me just say this, right? And I'll leave it at that. It's very, very suspicious that he's calling J-Lo as a witness to the case, and now Diddy wants to get active. Again, we don't know who Celebrity B is in Tony Buzzy's lawsuit. I think it's safe to say, just hear me out, that it's not Beyonce, because if it was Beyonce, oh my God, Tony Busby would have been having a field day. So now we got to go back to who it could be. Diddy was a hot commodity back then. We know he had his girlfriend, but he was a known, I don't want to say cheater. He just had one-way open relationships, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, y'all, what do y'all think? I think this case is going to move forward. It doesn't matter if I lied about 20 people. If I can show proof that I'm telling the truth about you, every case is on its own. On top of that, them saying the majority, if not all, you know how many cases he has, and you know the difference between the majority and all. Again, this is going to be interesting to say the way it plays out, because as much as they protest, you still haven't been able to explain what actually happened. You haven't been able to explain what actually happened and why you're on the Bureau of Prison visitation list. Unless he forged that too, but if he forged that, that would be the smoking gun to get a dismissal. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you
really grim for Lil Durk. Who would have thought that the Lil Durk arrest will uncover these many skeletons? It went from a murder for hire that's looking really sketchy and looking like Lil Durk has a great chance at beating this to Lil Durk possibly being a serial killer. This is insane. Now, the bad news for Lil Durk hits even harder, because before we got the bad news, we got some really good news. You see, Lil Durk was arrested for the murder for hire for Quanah Ronald's cousin Lil Pop, but a lot of us was really sketched out by the quote-unquote evidence against Lil Durk. And Lawyer for Workers Mo, who I believe was in attendance at the Lil Durk bond hearing, well, he reported that it was looking really good for Lil Durk, that Lil Durk's team had a brilliant day in court.
Lil Durk was denied a bond today in California federal court, murder for hire charge, where he's facing life in prison. Trial is scheduled to start in January. It went a lot better than that sounds. His attorney, Drew Finling, did a tremendous job diffusing several of the arguments that were making Durk look crazy. The government has these rap lyrics that they cite in the indictment, and they say, look, he's bragging about how Quando Rondo was on the news yelling, no, no. Drew Finling came in, and the government got a little shook up when he hit him with this. He hit him with a declaration from the music producer that said that that song was recorded months before that news story of Quando Rondo saying no, no ever happened. And so there's timestamps in this declaration from this producer showing the night those lyrics were recorded, way before Quando was ever saying no, no. The fans responded back to that by saying, oh, really?
Really? That's your trump card? Really? All right, bro. Let's stop playing softball, bro. The feds revealed, hey, listen, Your Honor, we're actually investigating this dude for another murder that we believe beyond a reasonable doubt that he's a part of and he committed. Huh? The judge is like, wait. Another one? It said, oh yeah, did you not know? Let's break it down, Your Honor, all right? This dusty light-skinned dude here, all right, from Dump Street, he apparently killed Lil Durk's brother, D-Thing, all right? Now, apparently, these two were beefing over a girl. D-Thing allegedly got like one of his homies killed in 2015 over a girl they were dating. D-Thing was bragging about how all his ops is dead. And due to the taunting and the alleged body that D-Thing got, Gigi Pook, the light-skinned dude, his name is Gigi Pook, he apparently killed D-Thing. Now, Lil Durk couldn't get Gigi Pook killed because Gigi Pook got arrested shortly after for a double homicide, and they tied him into D-Thing's murder after the fact. So Lil Durk decided he was going to put out a bounty, right, for anybody associated with Dumb Street and Gigi Pook, as well as any GD out there. If you murk a GD, Lil Durk will give you a bag. That seems pretty reckless, but Lil Durk wanted blood, right? His brother just got killed by some dust mites. He wanted blood, bruh. So Lil Durk put out that bounty, man, and Dusty Ninjas came to collect. Now, two Dusty Ninjas in particular came to collect, all right? Their names were Preston Powell and Anthony Montgomery Wilson. Now, these two went out looking for anybody they can catch, bruh, anybody. Lil Durk had a bounty out on some GDs or anybody involved with the dudes who got his brother, bruh. They just wanted to find anybody. So they came across the one dude they probably should have just let go. Like the one dude they probably shouldn't have killed. They didn't care who they ran across. They just wanted to run across somebody they can murk so they can get some paper from Lil Durk. So they came across Stefan Mack. Now check it out. Stefan Mack was actually at a church. He was outside a church working on a Stop the Violence initiative. He was across the street from a Stop the Gang Violence Initiative center. Stefan Mack had completely changed his life and he had moved on. He had a fiance, he had a child now. He was not gangbanging. He was trying to work towards pushing peace. And they seen him and said, F pushing peace, bruh, and killed him. Lil Durk Sterney said, Your Honor, what does this have to do with Lil Durk? What, two Dusty Ninjas killed one ninja who was a former gangbanger? But this is some gangbanging stuff. This has nothing to do with Lil Durk. The prosecutor says, sit down. Sit down. Your Honor, we're just getting started. Let us cook. When the feds arrested Montgomery Wilson for the murder of Stefan Mack, they went through his phone and they found that Montgomery Wilson was actually in a group chat with some OTF members, and he was texting them, yo, what's up with OTF? To which the other person responded, nothing. They're trying to be slick on the low, but Montgomery Wilson is starving. So 8 days later, he texted, yo, did Durk give you the money? I'm starving, man. I'm starving. Now, sometimes later, though, Montgomery Wilson was eventually arrested, and the feds uncovered this treasure trove of everything's going on, right? Now, here's what's really more interesting, all right? And the day that Stefan Mack died, Lil Durk posted to his IG story, aha, for D-Thing OTF. And Your Honor, you see, we initially thought that aha would it be for Quando Rondo, but if we're going and believing this engineer and his timestamps and claiming this was before Quando Rondo, well, then we'll agree. We'll say, okay, it's not about Quando Rondo, but we do believe it could be about Stefan Mack because not only was Lil Durk bragging about the murders they've done and the getbacks they've gotten, but Lil Durk also put one of the killers of Stefan Mack in the music video. Your Honor, do you still think we don't got nothing on Lil Durk? And Lil Durk attorney is saying back like, Your Honor, an indictment has not been filed yet. A grand jury has not put the Stefan Mack murder on Lil Durk yet. But then the prosecutor said, Your Honor, we got a treasure trove of information. We're investigating Lil Durk for a lot more things and a lot more bodies. As of now, there's an active investigation for Lil Durk on other murder for hires and other murders that he is possibly linked to. And because there's an ongoing investigation, we don't think he should be granted bond right now. The judge looked at the prosecutors, looked at the defense, and said, bond denied. All right, Lil Durk ain't coming out of jail. Lil Durk is sitting there. But it gets worse for Lil Durk, though. It gets worse. You see, while the prosecutors is announcing, we are investigating this, my favorite YouTuber, Trap Lil Ross, had them beat. Trap Lil Ross already got a 4-hour documentary coming out linking Lil Durk to 5 other murders. Y'all got to go to his Patreon to watch the full video, but you can hear the description, and it says 6 bodies. The many murders of Lil Durk. That's how many lives the internet thinks Lil Durk has taken. Ever since the bombshell indicted dropped, accusing Lil Durk and a group of his friends of being responsible for a murder-for-hire plot targeting rival Quanah Rondo, speculation has raged over whether this was one-off incident or, in fact, a pattern of deadly behavior. In his 4+ hour video, I'll be breaking down all of the 6 alleged murders of Lil Durk has been rumored to have something to do with. All right. Now listen, buddy. All right. Now alleged, when Trap Lil Ross says alleged, bro, be careful, man, because 4 hours ain't alleged, homie. 4 hours of evidence linking Lil Durk to 6 murders ain't alleged. And Trap Lil Ross also said, you know what, man? Listen, yeah, they were slick when they, brought out the timestamps for But Your Honor, well, Trap Lil Ross didn't say Your Honor because he wasn't in court, but he came on social media and said, listen, that's one song, all right? The prosecutors ain't doing a job good enough. That's one song. Here's about a dozen more songs of Lil Durk confessing to this Quanah Rondo murder.
About the music, ever since Durk's indictment, not many people have really gone back to see if he left any clues about the murders for fans to find. A lot of people are familiar with his lyrics on that Babyface Ray song, where he appears to rap lyrics that suggested he gave a green light to this hit, but it turns out that Lil Durk's iceberg of self-incrimination goes much deeper. In fact, I went back and listened to the very first album that he and his friends released, just months after the murder of Lil Pab, and I couldn't believe what I found. Loyal Bros 2 is an OTF group mixtape released on the 16th of December 2022, just 4 months after the murder of Lil Pab. And I'm here to tell you that this project is perhaps one of the most self-incriminating projects in the history of rap music. Not only is this a group album under OTF, the very name of Durk's gang and label of the same name that allegedly carried out the murder-for-hire plot against Quando and Lil Pab, as referenced in the indictment, but the title of the mixtape, Loyal Bros 2, is a pretty obvious reference to the loyalty that Durk expects from his gang and label brothers. But beyond the title, the project itself is wall-to-wall with incriminating lyrics that not only hint towards Durk's involvement, but track by track paints a vivid picture of exactly how the events unfolded, with Durk and his collaborators making countless references to the crime and its specific details.
And the thing with Lil Durk and them is, if Trap Lil Ross is going to go back, you think that prosecutors wasn't going to go back? Trap Lil Ross just doing this is just breaking the ice for the prosecutors, man.
Openly claiming responsibility for the whole thing. On the opening track titled Set It Off, Durk makes an interesting comment, seemingly suggesting that he recruits killers for his business, and recounts conversations with members telling him they don't want to kill people, so Durk instead sets them up with different roles in the business, like running real estate. In other lines, Durk makes ambiguous references to his ops getting caught slipping, and in the hook, he raps about giving his friends guns and asking them to shoot for him. In verse 2, he drops a bar saying one of his ops couldn't read his last DM because he was killed, something that some people have suggested is a reference to the murder of FBG Cash. But this is followed by another ambiguous bar where Durk says that he told his shooters to spin every block until their target is dead, and that somebody was due to be killed next, but he couldn't get to them, with some suggesting that this was in fact a reference to King Von's actual killer, Lil Tim, who was arrested in October 2022. The suggestion being that Durk's next murder for hire would have been Tim, but since he was in jail, they couldn't get to him. Then, on the second track, titled Mad Max featuring Future, in a bizarre display, Future seemingly opens his verse with a series of lines that again eerily mirror the exact details of Lil Durk's case, with Future rapping his Lil Bro, presumably Durk, drops bags and gets people killed and has people shot through the windows of their cars, and referencing that people get money put on their heads for messing with Durk. And Future even ends his verse with a jaw-dropping bit of foreshadowing, saying ain't no Rico case gonna stop another body dropping, before asking how many bodies they have. The hook of the song would see Durk and Future likening their shooters running up on people and killing them to be similar to the movie Mad Max. And then in Durk's verse, he would go on an absolute rampage of self-snitching, boldly saying that he told Young Thug everybody that he'd shot, and hinting that he could have been part of that Rico case that Thug caught if the feds were recording what he said. Durk then seemingly references the murder of
Durk Lucky Thug a solid one. Durk Lucky Thug solid. Imagine Durk would have told Gunna everybody he shot. Yo, imagine Durk with a tote gunner. Hey, bro, yo, I shot FBG Cash. We got Lil Pop killed. We got here from Dump Street killed. We got everybody killed, man.
Quando's cousin Lil Pab, despite him actually not being involved in the death of Von, saying that when it's war, you don't see famous names being killed, but they still try and kill everyone around their targets. Durk then references the rumors that he was involved in the Pab murder, saying that he doesn't admit to crimes, but the blogs seem to accuse him as soon as people die, and saying that he would never admit to murder and is happy that other people are claiming that body, a line which I think refers to an alternative narrative that was spread around, suggesting that Lil Pab was actually killed by drug dealers that he ran off on. Of course, when the indictment dropped, it seemed pretty clear that that was cap. Durk would then go on to directly deny blackballing Quando Rondo from the record industry and casting doubt on his criminal past, before Durk says that he is the person who chooses if people live or get killed. He later appears to reference 2 details from the murder of Lil Pab, saying the Switch is bound to kill their ops, free McAdoo, a 600 member who committed numerous murders, and then saying the chilling and self-incriminating line, "We're flying to get you." Now, perhaps this could be an...
Hey, look. Hey, listen, homie. Again, it could still be just a coincidence, okay? Maybe the we flying to get you. You guys don't know, bro. Lil Durk put the goons on a flight to go to LA to kill Quando Rondo and Lil Pop. Quando Rondo survived, Lil Pop got killed, and then took a flight back. This could just be a coincidence, man, but let's go.
Interpreted as saying that he would fly to collect Mac from jail if he's ever released, but to me, I think it's a different bar, where Durk is just mentioning one of his killers and then moving on to another line where he's self-incriminating himself, admitting that he will fly his shooters out to kill you, just like he did to Lil Pab. This is followed by another dark line where Durk says, "You ain't know we were gonna get you, did you?" On the next track...
Yo, before he continues, I'll be wondering too, yo. Now, if you're a street dude, let me know. Yo, how do the people who are really killers, how do y'all feel when these rappers like put y'all in these songs? Because I would imagine if the prosecutors are going through these verses, bruh, when they see Lil Durk shouting out somebody for being a killer, they know Lil Durk ain't probably lying, right? They know Lil Durk is probably telling the truth about that person being a killer. And if that person ain't arrested yet for being a killer, the prosecutors is probably like uncovering every stone to find out why Lil Durk think this person here is a killer.
Like hanging with wolves, Durk would make some interesting references to his life in this time. In one bar, he claims that he was out of town and heard a rumor that he was wanted for murder, pretty much speaking what ended up happening into existence. Durk went on to make references to Youngboy, whose original beef with King Von kicked off this whole thing, with Quando actually being one of Youngboy's artists signed to his label, and Durk would refer to earlier comments suggesting that Youngboy had told the world that they were beefing and that he tried to squash the war. Then, at the end of his second verse, he drops another insane piece of foreshadowing, saying that he's the type of person to get on a flight with a warrant and that the police have got to catch him, something that he indeed tried to do. On a later...
Come on. Come on, cuz. Yo, I'm more, listen, I'm more, come on, bro. Come on. Yo, imagine playing this at the Bond hearing, bro. Because they came up with another excuse claiming, oh, Lil Durk actually booked one flight. The flight just had multiple stops, so they thought he booked multiple flights to trick the feds when that wasn't true. He was on his way to Dubai. Imagine playing this, yo. I hop on flights knowing I have warrants, man, just to get away. Imagine playing this for the police, bro.
A track called For Real that features OTF member Booney Mo, he would reveal that he sells drugs to make money while his friends do the murders. In a later lyric, he outright says that his friends kill the ops and says that they get paid $10,000 to spin, and saying specifically that they get $20,000 if they kill one of the target's friends, and ending the song saying all his friends kill people for real if you play with them. A later track that featured Booker 600 and Lil Durk had a peculiar title, Feed 'em Addies. Now this title is a slick double entendre referring to giving their killers both Adderalls to focus on the murders that they've been tasked to do, and giving them the addresses or addies of their rivals to find them and kill them, something made explicit by the lyrics. And Booker goes on to rap that somebody's head got left on the wall for King Von. Then in Durk's verse, he would boast about having $50 million liquid, and going on to rap an eyebrow-raising bar saying that he smashed somebody's nose and that in his hood, he's Pablo. Likely a reference to Pablo Escobar, but...
Oh, come on, homie. Come on, bro. Durk was snitching like this? Durk was snitching on himself like this? Son. In his nose, he practically smashed it. No, the prior line, the prior line was 50 million. I actually got a lick. Would I actually grab it with? Let's go, man. Mad Max, get ready to catch a kill. I'll feed him Addies. Or even before 50 million, I got it. In his nose, he practically smashed it. In my hood, I'm Pablo. Oh, come on, bro. That's a diss at Lil Pop.
Nickname was also Pablo. He then goes on to drop a series of bars that sound to me like they're directly referencing Lil Pab's murder, saying that he doesn't speak on murders or people trolling, and seemingly referencing Quando's relationship being signed to Youngboy's label, saying why you signed to the dudes that purged it. Then rapping the brutal lyric referring to the murder of Pab and Quando's reaction being broadcast on the news, saying, when I seen he died, I kept scrolling, and admitting that he's into beef with someone's friend, another reference to Youngboy and Quando's relationship. The next track is seemingly another bold admission of the OTF crew's activities in the streets, the aptly titled track, We Did It. This sees Booney Mo from OTF rapping back to back with a posthumous verse and ad-libs from none other than King Von, whose death sparked this deadly crime spree. The song featured a brazen chorus which saw Booney Mo rapping repeatedly, "They know that we did it," whilst backed up by King Von ad-libs. What did you guys do, Booney? Booney would then repeat the line, this time following the line about having diamonds on his chain, saying that they know we winning, with that line about winning followed by another King Von ad-lib saying, they know. He goes on to rap, you know how we're spinning, and naming what guns they use, and saying if they catch an op, you know we're gonna get them. And he would end the hook saying that now they're smoking on their ops. In the verse, he mentions OTF Diddy or D-Ski locating ops for the gang and chasing ops in rental cars, which according
wasn't Diddy the one who put everything together for Lil Durk, got everybody on the flights, got everybody into the rental car, got everybody the guns, and then followed Quandarado in a rental car from his hotel to the gas station to kill him?
to the indictment, happened. And he would even end his verse with a buffet of self-incrimination, rapping that he pays his shorties to slide and that he bets they're going to get you. Following that up, saying OTF, that's mob ties, ain't nothing realer. The second verse was a posthumous King Von verse, where in the final line, as Von has done countless times before, admitting to murder, saying that he ducked that sentence, but they know I did it. Now, I'm sure people might argue that this is an ambiguous song which could be referring to absolutely anything. But to me, the fact that this project and song dropped just 4 months after the supposed murder that was Get Back forwardly used was indeed. The next track would feature OTF Diddy or D-Ski, which you'll likely know.
Now, Diddy is one of the co-conspirators, by the way.
Is one of the members who was central to the alleged murder for hire plot and is all over that indictment. And on the track Seen It All, Diddy would commence with another incredibly self-incriminating verse, rapping that his team do hits regardless, and rapping that they're going to risk it all and put their ops in coffins for their friends, rapping that they stalk their ops in traffic, something alleged in the indictment with photographic evidence, and saying that they leave their ops on stretchers. And in his verse, continuing the self-snitching, rapping that they bully their ops with switches and shoot the fastest, and rapping how they don't give their enemies passes, they walk them down or kill them. Even admitting that his friends stood on business or got vengeance, and he raps they're coming to get you, and that their bullets will leave you dead in public. And I don't know if it gets more public than outside the Beverly Center. But then on the next track, Ain't Hiding, OTF's Chief Wook would continue to rap bars that seem to hint at OTF's deadly activities in the streets, saying that their lil bros...
Let's stop it here, right? Chief Walk is my brother, man. Feel me? Even though Walk is mad at me, all right? Walk came looking for me in LA, but Walk is mad at me because, you know, I've been speaking on Lil Durk and him. But Walk is still my Liberian brother, man. You feel me? Walk is still my brother. You feel me, man? All right, we had communications. Walk is still my brother, man. So I'm not going to... I ain't gonna put Walk business out there, right? Y'all can go watch the Trap Lil Rawls video, right? On Trap More Rawls. That's the channel to figure out what's going on, man. Lil Durk is in some trouble, people. Lil Durk is in trouble, man. This right here is gonna get Lil Durk a lot of time, man. But y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think, man? Y'all guys think Lil Durk gonna beat this? Or y'all think Lil Durk is cooked? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here to see another person who's cooked. Find out how the Travis Hunter situation is getting a whole lot worse. I'm going to see you guys in this video. I'm out of here, folks.
Cool, follow me.